In here? Are you on? Are you like live? Mm-hmm. So if I walk. What are you doing, buddy? Dad's on live already.
Well, hi, Buster. You want to get on video with everybody? Nobody else is here yet. So you want to say hi? Say hello. Say hello. Can you see the camera? Say hello. Buster came in. Say hi. Buster is the name of Turbis backwards. But anyway, well, whatever. You know.
Oh, okay, buddy. You want to join us on our podcast, buddy? No. It's the syllable split. I'm backwards.
What's wrong with you?
We have one viewer listening to you. Hey, Buster, you can't be in here. Gotta go away. He's like, but I want to.
Can we shut that door?
Yes. No.
How did this happen? It was nice.
Did we
You
fix
wrapped
this
up
door?
Yeah, no, fix this door. So I'll have to do that. But
That's fine. Well, we got it set up. I see some more work.
you can watch it with your headphones.
These were wrapped up nicely in my pocket.
Apparently not.
Somehow they ended up. No, I didn't all at the time. It just fine. Fine.
Oh, man, two.
Hey, JJ.
Hey, Chucky.
What's up, JG? How you doing, buddy?
What's he say? What did he say?
Oops, did I miss an announcement? You know, I don't.
Oh. Huh? Oh, you got me a water?
Yep.
Do you have a water now? Just have an extra.
This water tastes different than Sam's.
It's still Sam's water. It's like Walmart water. Walmart water.
That is.
What? I was just explaining. See, Walmart water comes
So-
from Sam's.
I'm just gonna shut up now.
It's true.
They're arguing already.
It's not arguing if you're right.
See what I feel?
You guys are no, you Sam, you're the arguer. So let's not argue.
Okay.
Oh, that sucks, JG.
What's that?
Had an asthma attack. He's getting treated though.
Ooh.
I hate that. My dad had asthma really bad, so I understand.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. Well, you never
Didn't
know.
you have an asthma attack?
I've had asthma attacks too. That's
Wait,
why when I have
really?
That's why when I have pneumonia, double pneumonia was so bad. It's really dangerous.
Man, I'm learning things tonight.
Yeah,
That's cool. You know, if you listen to your dad, you learn a lot.
we do. Hey.
All righty.
All
Do you want to walk through this first? At least know what our topic is this week.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Probably.
Our topic is the Phantom Menace 20 years later.
Really?
Yeah. So with the announcement of the Star Wars Celebration panel that we've been predicting for months, like everybody's been.
But why is it
predicting.
on a Monday?
Yeah, that's actually real. We'll talk about that on the show. We'll only talk about that right now. We'll talk
I-
save the good stuff for the
Okay,
recording.
Mom had a question. When are we flying down on Monday?
I don't know. I didn't get the tickets. She booked the tickets.
Oh, well, she asked you because you did.
No, she booked the tickets.
Oh, she thinks it's 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it's late enough in the day that stink.
We won't miss any.
I have to get out of this. Got a problem.
Whoa.
What?
My mic's giving me grief.
Sure.
Wow. Check. Yeah, no, it's not taking it. Yeah, I gotta get out of my dashboard here. Hey, so JG, while it's just the two of us, you can have like a heart to heart here.
Well, there's 3 people on here.
Oh, who are they?
They haven't announced themselves.
No, they have not announced themselves.
Announce yourself.
Yeah, it says 2
Probably
months.
Grammy.
So JG, you were asking about podcast platforms for your podcast, which Blue Saber is. If please let us know down here below if it's like
Oh, he left.
live. He'll be back. Yeah, so let us know. But yeah, I use the Spreaker dashboard for our recordings because it works really, really well. You can just save the file with it. And then I upload those files to Anchor for our podcast because I like Anchor's distribution better. So yeah, there you go. So I just thought I'd answer that question from this last weekend. So all right, let me see. Let's see if I
I was
can
in
get
there
this.
reading
So the
things.
reason I'm saying that is because our Spreaker dashboard's not recognizing my Yeti mic today. So most of the time it works pretty well. But as far as the behind the scenes goes, it's kind of in pain. Hey, there, it's
Hey.
recognizing it. Okay, let's make sure
Hey.
everybody else's mics are actually set to the right mics. Nathan, will you speak into yours, please?
Hello.
Nathan, Sammy, will you speak into yours, please?
Oh,
Can you guys keep your mics as close to you as possible without having to pick them up?
yes.
If you put this over here, it will help. All right.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Is it working?
All right, so we're talking about the Phantom Menace today. Sam, you got your thing. We'll go through this as we go through, but
I think that was a high C.
I like it. Yeah, I agree. Anchor is amazing. Our distribution has gone through the roof since we fully transferred our podcast over to Anchor. And this is and actually, no, it's a paid sponsorship because they actually pay for us to do this. They've actually sponsored our podcast. Did you guys know that?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Anchor.
And we had a couple other sponsors come from it, and it's working great. So, and our distribution has gone up a lot since we switched over to Anchor. So
Or a tissue box.
we don't need it. We're not going to do that today.
Really?
Mm-hmm. We're not.
I've been
Okay.
having this.
No sniffles today. We're doing
Yeah.
better.
Friday night, I think I'll edit the video where I do the sniffle compilation.
You think you're going to do that?
Yeah, but
Tomorrow night we're going to go see How to Train Your
Oh, that's
Dragon
right.
3.
gotta. Well, normally we stand on Friday nights.
We need to
So,
get our tickets tonight, don't we?
I think that's.
I just mean I can rip the YouTube video easy. but-
Okay, well let's do our recording our podcast. Can we do that? So Nathan, you want to practice that one time for our,
Sure.
you can read it to JG
Oh, and one more person.
and one more person.
What that is.
It's probably
Nice.
Grammy, although she
Yeah.
doesn't. I don't know if she gets these notifications or not. She doesn't know how to use YouTube. So anyway,
Yeah.
read away. Practice it once.
Welcome, Star Wars fans, episode 62 of Tatooine Sons. It's hard to believe that.
Yeah, I know. That's why we practice, right?
But-
Let's try again. 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome, Star Wars fans, to episode 62 of Tatooine Suns. It's hard to believe, but the Phantom Menace is 20 years old. Our predictions for a special anniversary panel at Celebration Chicago have come true. As the final day of the event, we'll begin with a look back at episode 1. This week, we are doing our own retrospective on the film, along with discussions about masters and apprentices, senatorial shenanigans.
I knew I did this on purpose tonight.
Trade disputes, and of course, Gungans. Plus, we got some pretty big hot takes and lots to talk about with Resistance and more. The ability to speak does not make one intelligent. It's time for Tatooine Suns. My nose is...
Welcome, Adam. Good to have you on here, buddy.
What's up, Adam?
Adam O'Donnell. He's like we interact all the time on Twitter, but you guys don't know Adam because you don't interact on Twitter because
Whoever you are.
don't understand some of the things that people tweet, and so I try to keep you guys off of Twitter.
Some people are jerks on Facebook.
Well, we're not talking about that. All right. So now we're going to start for real, right? So Adam, just so you know, last weekend we did it this way. We decided to keep going. John was with us last week. JG was with us all week. So he knows, and he's like a massive Patreon supporter of ours. We're super excited about all that JG does to make this podcast possible. So thank you so much, JG. But Adam, we record this live, so you're not going to hear the audio that's going through our mixer because, frankly, I'm not technically savvy enough to figure out how to get it to go through that computer over there. But this is just like you get to see all the behind-the-scenes stuff as we record this. So we do it by segment. So we start off with kind of practice and talk about each segment as we go through. So we're going to go do our opening segment now. So Nathan usually brings us in. You'll hear some quiet time, and we'll probably chit chat on mute if I can remember to do that. Yeah. So Sam's got to figure out his Achuda. And so we should not let him try to figure that out until we start the recording.
Yeah, thanks.
That's what we usually do. Sound effects and stuff like that, clips in the audio you won't get, but we will stop in between each different segment and chit chat about what we're going to do on the next segment. And so you guys can see behind the scenes. So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and anybody else that decides to watch this later. So
I'm gonna do and if you're not a Star Wars fan, there's something about Phantom Menace and how it's then you probably like that.
No, stop.
No, I don't know. I mean, I thought about that, but that's not
really true.
Yeah,
the way that we want to be.
That's not true. Then you probably didn't know it's the 20th anniversary, or it's almost the 20th anniversary.
You might be surprised that it's the 20th anniversary of the release of Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
You're probably surprised. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. So I'm gonna mute you guys here. Now we're all mute.
And you're not doing any sound effects during my intro, are you, this week?
I'm not going to do the lies, deception like last week. I thought that was pretty good. That's a pretty good Saga Rare, in my opinion. But anyway, all right. Ready to go? 5, 4, 12, 3, 1. So we didn't have the audio running through our into our ears. I had to fix that. So that's why we all kind of sat here in silence for a few seconds. So right now we're doing the podcast network plug. And that's what's going on. Stop doing that. Stop making fun of your dad in public.
No, I'm just saying that I'm mimicking Sammy.
You're mimicking me.
Yeah.
Sammy was mimicking me. You better be ready to read. All right. I'm going to take you off mute here in just a second. All right, here we go. Well, not quite yet. We've got 5 seconds.
Welcome, Star Wars fans, to episode 62 of Tatooine Suns. It's hard to believe, but the Phantom Menace is 20 years old. Our predictions for a special anniversary panel at Celebration Chicago have come true. As the final day of the event, we'll begin with a look back at episode 1. This week, we're doing our own retrospective on the film, along with discussions about masters and apprentices, senatorial shenanigans, trade disputes, and of course, Gungans. Plus, we've got some pretty big hot takes and lots to talk about with the Resistance and more. The ability to speak does not make one intelligent. It's time for Tatooine Suns.
I should probably have done it. The ability to speak does not make one intelligent. You didn't sell it. You got to sell it, man.
Well, I was kind of like...
You were thrown off by the senatorial shenanigans word. Yeah.
Are we all muted?
No, we're on mute.
Oh.
It's not going through the mic.
Oh, I got to do my thing.
Oh yeah, you got to be ready. Yeah, you got to bring us in here. So right now, Brian Johnson's telling Nate that Turbis the Porg is the name
Still not canon.
on our audio. It's not canon yet, but it's going to be. When Matt Martin made it clear that the Porg on the Millennium Falcon is named Turbis, not the one in the Porg Project, that felt like we were getting really close with that. So we'll see.
We might have to wait till episode 9. I did do something in episode 9.
If they show the trailer of episode 9 and there's a Porg on the Millennium Falcon, we're gonna like have a meltdown in the middle of the wherever.
I'm worried that if they like canonize it in the film, like in episode 9, I will break down and cry.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, ready?
Welcome, Star Wars fans. This is Tatooine Sons, your weekly look into all things Star Wars from the unique perspective of a father sharing his amazing.
And that's what happens when you have a 13-year-old.
All right, let's just go again. Come on.
Okay.
Now make sure you do it in a really low voice.
All right, let's try to do it down here. Welcome, Star Wars fans. Oh, that's not it.
Welcome.
All right, here you go. Let's try it again.
Welcome, Star Wars fans. Okay.
For real this time.
Welcome, Star Wars fans. This is Tatooine Sons, your weekly look into all things Star Wars from the unique
perspective of a father sharing his love with the amazing space fantasy saga with his two sons. I am BB-8, and I am joined first by my brother Samuel the Hutt.
Cheetah Star Wars fans, thanks for tuning in, and if you're still listening after that train wreck of an opening, thank you. And if you're not a Star Wars fan, you might be surprised to hear that it's almost the 20th anniversary of the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I was talking about that today with my boss at work, and he's like, he couldn't believe it. He's not a Star Wars fan at all, and it was hard for him to believe that it was 20 years. So it's actually a very appropriate achievement this week. Thank you very much, Sam.
My pleasure.
All right, can you remember this part?
And of course, you can have Star Wars, the dog bizarre father figures. So on that note, here's my dad, the Bowtie Jedi guy.
How you guys doing?
Good.
So I'm like now in a situation at work where I'm training people on selling over the phone. Like they're doing inside sales. They're calling contractors and stuff like that. And I've gotten into this habit now with my new employees of constantly saying, slow down. Like waving my hand at them and telling them to slow down because they get excited when they're on the phone and they're about to say, and they start talking like this and they go really, really fast, right? And so you were doing your intro before you even messed it up. The first part of the intro, like before we went to the audio stuff, I immediately found myself saying, slow down. I was like, doing this. How's it going, guys?
Good.
We're all feeling a lot healthier than we were at the last recording, which is good. We're very excited to be joined with a couple of our Star Wars friends and family on YouTube Live as we decided to just go ahead and throw the camera on and let them see all the craziness that goes on behind the scenes while we record this. So thank you guys for Adam and for JG, of course, that was there last week as well. So we certainly love having you guys on there and hope that seeing the behind the scenes of this kind of stuff is fun. So thanks for being amazing fans and joining us as we discuss some Star Wars tonight. I've left my notes on the floor, so I'm just going to borrow yours real quick, evening day. So, we talked about that live on YouTube. Hey, I'm right on track. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the Star Wars Rebels Revisited YouTube and podcast stuff. With the move and everything else, it's just been harder to get things moved up and running. But we did. I just want to make sure we give you an update. We did get the next 2 episodes recorded, both on video and audio. And so now we're in the process of just simply editing those, getting the clip in there for the Revelation segment on the video especially, and being ready to go. So my goal is next week we will have that one up and running. We'll have the next episode after that all ready to go, and we'll begin to be ahead of the game on recording those Star Wars Rebels Revisited episodes. And I thought we had a lot of fun the other day, even though Sam had
It was a train wreck.
No, it wasn't.
Fun. It was a fun train.
I don't think it was a train wreck. I thought it was actually some pretty good discussion about Star Wars Rebels. I think that we are very insightful when it comes to our understanding of that series. So,
Very.
Well, it's our favorite, so been a lot of fun. So we asked that on we're doing that 30 days of Star Wars challenge that I'm doing on Twitter. I've told you guys about.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the questions I think a couple of days ago was Rebels versus Clone Wars. And for the most part, people pick the Clone Wars, which is usually the way that it is.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of Rebels love out there.
That's
so.
good.
Speaking of Rebels, March 5th, everybody listening to this and watching us on YouTube, remember March 5th is Star Wars Rebels Day. And we're going to be celebrating that on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, our podcasts. We're going to have some special stuff. I don't know what we're going to do. You guys will be in Alabama and I'll be here, so we'll figure it out. But yeah, we're going to have a good time. We're going to be celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the finale of Star Wars Rebels, which was an absolutely amazing finale. So that's going to be Star Wars Rebels Day. I think they're doing the Rebels Remembered hashtag. So hashtag Rebels Remembered for that. All right. I think we got the preliminaries out of the way. You guys are ready to move into thank you, BB Nate.
I am that good.
Yeah, he's following my notes better than I am. So I'm going to turn these so I can see what I'm doing here. All right. Celebration. Oh, yeah. We want to know if you guys want to be a part of a special Tatooine Sons, a Star Wars podcast episode from Star Wars Celebration. So, of course, the schedule has not completely been revealed yet as to what panels are going to be happening where, and we're planning on doing things, but we're, throughout the entire, weekend of Star Wars Celebration. But we also want to know if you guys want us to do a live recording like this, our gear and our computer, and of course, if we're somewhere in the event center there, the McCormick Place Convention Center, there's going to be lots of background noise, which will be a lot of fun. I think think the energy is going to be amazing. We want to know if you guys want to be a part of it. And so, if you do, go to Twitter @Tatooine Sons and send us a tweet letting us know that you want to be a part of Star Wars Celebration. You want to be part of that episode. We're going to go ahead and just try to get an audience together and record our episode live right in front of you guys and get you guys to talk about Star Wars Celebration, bring you guys up and have you on mic and just have a blast. I have no idea when we're going to do this yet. I have no idea where. I don't think we'll know until that day, but we're going to have a lot of fun. And hopefully maybe we even can see, maybe Sam Whitwer will walk by and he'll sit in on the show. I'm going to bug him like crazy. I'm going to Twitter stalk that guy like crazy. If Steven Stanton comes, we're going to try to get Steven back on the show again. We've got some other fans or other people involved. Christopher Sean, if you're listening to this podcast, which I think you do, actually. I really do, because you seem to indicate that on Twitter a couple of times. So, Christopher, you've already indicated you'd be open to an interview, so we're going to reach out to you and have you on the show. We want to have this be a celebration of Star Wars at Star Wars Celebration. Wow, that's a great episode, man. I don't know what episode it's going to be. It might be like episode 70, which would be kind of cool because I like that number. But anyway, a celebration of Star Wars at Star Wars Celebration.
And hopefully the floors are carpet, because that was very...
Yeah.
We might actually have to go.
And I'm hoping if we go to a room that's not carpeted and it's the room with the big metal bars, that we hear about 5 to 10 of the bars falling at some point, and everybody going, yay! That's happened in Orlando before. So, all right.
Which is great.
Because if that's the case at this place and a bar falls and you hear people clap, they went to last year's celebration.
Yeah, because that happened a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I hope they do that again.
all right. So let's do this thing. You guys ready to move on to the podcast poll of the week results from last week?
Yeah, sure.
Did I get it all? I did say last week, right?
Yeah.
I did good. You guys are acting like I messed up.
Well,
It was just very
It wasn't
odd
very
for you to say,
coherent.
right?
It wasn't. I'm not often all that coherent. All right.
Okay, let's see what everybody
Oh.
comments.
I've been reading these on my phone as we went along, but it's quite nice. I feel included now
You feel included? Why?
because I'm reading them on my phone.
You're reading along with it? Yeah, I don't know. You guys are so awesome. DJRIK. I'm pretty sure that's you, Rick. Rick. Now, afterwards, with Twitter and all that, I figured out that who you were last week, and it was bothering me the whole podcast. So welcome, Rick. And of course, we want you to be a part of that podcast recording when we're there as well. So, all right.
John was part of it too.
What's that?
John said he was.
Well, John, you have no choice but to be a part of that. So
Right.
it wasn't even a question for you. So.
Hold on. What's Adam saying? I'd be there with my 2 oldest kids.
Oh yeah.
That would be awesome.
No, we did not. So it's a great question, Adam. We did not get selected as part of anything on the podcast stage.
Don't we have to be, both of them have to be 18?
Yeah.
You can apply on your own as a podcast to be a part of the podcast stage unless everyone involved would be 18 or older, which obviously that would be a really boring show if it was just me.
Sorry.
We did try to get in there as part of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network, where I would join some of the other podcasts on stage for that. But the reality is, the Commonwealth Podcast Network didn't get the love as some other podcast networks did, and so we don't get to be on there. So, so we're gonna do our own thing. Forget it. Let's have fun. We give you
On the
lemons,
show
make
floor.
lemonade, right? On the show floor, yeah.
By
We
the-
have people
by the-
walking by us, and we're gonna record.
By the
live.
show stage where they
No, I don't
play
think-
stuff.
Yeah, I
all
don't
the
think
time.
that's gonna happen.
I mean, some like side
Not like
hallway,
right by it,
sort
but
of
like close to it.
All right, let's
Or
talk
maybe
about.
on the very.
Let's get ready for the next segment here. They don't want to hear us talk about recording a podcast. They want us to record a podcast. Okay, one more. What?
DJRKV.
That's right. Yeah, I know. I've got it. Yes, awesome.
I know.
Rick's also a Patreon supporter, so thank you so
Oh,
much.
cool.
Rick. You got.
Thank
Thank you, buddy.
All right.
Okay, who's doing what?
Yeah, so the podcast poll, I read that. With spoilers, tread carefully or try to avoid. That's Micah.
You're probably gonna want to do the Youngins podcast, aren't you, Dad? Because hadn't you interacted with them?
Well, both them and my Star Wars Life Dead are family-friendly kid podcasts that we actually promoted on our website. Our
Okay.
website's doing weird stuff. I gotta fix that. Remind me of that this weekend,
Okay.
Depends on how long until release. So who wants the first one? Micah.
I'll do my go.
Micah, okay, who's doing Younglings?
Oh, I don't know. What are you?
Why don't you do my Star Wars Life Debt? And I'll do Younglings.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Are we good?
Easy.
Easy for cheesy. All right. Let us jump right back in here and get ready to do the next segment.
Jean-Claude there?
Huh?
Jean-Claude? Is it Jean-Claude?
Jean-Claude who?
From the P. From
Oh, from VeggieTales.
See,
This is the
Grandpa-
second week in a row.
I
did
know.
the
I was just gonna say you did.
I did the grandpa.
And then you
And
just
now I
did
just did
Jean-Claude.
Jean-Claude. Let's just talk.
Let's get back to the Star
Let's
Wars
do our
podcast.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, last week's podcast poll. Well, did you hear that echo?
Yeah, there was more echo on that.
There was a lot more echo this week.
His no went on longer.
No! Let's see if it does it on the actual sound effect. I guess you just never paid attention to the echo.
It's so long.
Oh my! All right.
They have no idea what we're
Yeah, I
talking
know.
about.
And
on
for all
YouTube.
of you guys on YouTube, sorry about that. But we had our own little moment here in our earbuds. So. All right, what's your policy on Star Wars rumors and spoilers? Podcast poll of the week. We had 4 choices: bring it on, tread carefully, complete lockdown, and other comment below. 53% said tread carefully. Sort of a okay with some spoilers and some rumors, but we want to be careful about those, which is sort of where we.
I think that's, yeah, I was going to say that's where we
But
are.
if you find anything on Mike's Heroes page, I think.
If it's on, some of the sites that we talked about last week, you probably should just totally ignore it. If it's on those ones that we talked about, which we're going to talk about a couple of them this week, like Star Wars Newsnet and some of those,
Okay.
they're much more credible, which gets me really excited right now because they reported some stuff we're going to talk about. You guys don't know that.
Hot takes?
It might be a part of the hot takes.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, got it.
All right, so 53% said tread carefully. And then between bringing on a complete lockdown,
It was very close.
it was very close, which is like the way that Star Wars fandom is. It was polarized because Bring It On is like, give me all the spoilers, give me all the rumors, give me everything. And Complete Lockdown is I want none. Complete Lockdown got 22% and Bring It On got 21%. What do you guys think about that?
That's really weird.
Really weird?
I'm
That's
like
interesting.
either tread carefully or complete lockdown. I
Yeah.
would never be like,
I mean,
hey,
then-
just bring all the stuff.
Yeah, I don't like spoilers. It ruins the fun of the movie.
Well, I mean, I've talked about this before on another episode or a couple episodes, but The Force Awakens was where I learned the damage of spoilers and rumors because, it had been almost 10 years since a Star Wars movie, and I was really excited about it because this was going to be the first time that I'd ever gone to a Star Wars movie in the theater with you guys because you were only like 2 or 3 years old when Attack of the Clones came out. There was no way I was taking you to the theater to go see Anakin get crispy.
That's Revenge of the Sith.
No, Revenge of the Sith, that's what I
Yeah,
meant.
that
Yeah.
makes a little.
Did I say Attack of the Clones?
Yeah, that came out before.
Yeah.
Or like, when did that come out?
So let's see.
Attack
It
of
was
the Clones.
99, 2001, 2003, or 4 or something like
It was 2005 actually.
Okay. that. So what year was
2003, I think.
Yeah, okay. So
I-
I think you were born during. Yeah, you were because we were back in Alabama,
Oh yeah.
and I went to. I remember seeing that. So you were born. But yeah. Anyway, when it came to the Force Awakens, though, back on topic here. Stay on target. Stay on target. Oh, I think I just
Whoa.
lost my mic. I just
No,
lost
you're
my
back.
mic.
Oh, it's cutting in and out.
Okay, we're gonna have to start the segment again.
Okay.
That's all right. We didn't get too far.
And for those of you watching on YouTube, this is what happens. We do this. This happens sometimes.
Just
I'm going to delete that recording, not the first recording, so we don't get.
What's up, Isaac?
confused. What's up, Isaac?
Yeah. Rick
Rick? Yeah.
is
we got
watching with
Rick.
his 9-year-old son, Isaac.
Hey, Isaac!
Hi.
Oh, this has just become our favorite episode we've ever recorded. Welcome, Isaac. We're so
Wow.
excited to have you here, man. Thanks for
Younglings
joining us.
podcast is
And
watching.
Younglings is on Younglings. Hold on. We're about to talk about you. So just hold on for just a second. All right, let's see if we can get our, we're going to have to do that whole segment again. So if we say things that you've heard, thank you. Make sure I've got a Yeti microphone here.
Using live.
All right, Yeti. Yep, see, it's not picking me up. Yeti. Okay, let's go. All right, we're going to go back and start all over on the podcast.
They said, what?
Yeah, exactly.
This is a fun episode.
This is. I like doing.
I like doing it this way. Yeah, we gotta do the
because we make a ton of mistakes every week,
Oh yeah.
and we try to sound so much better on our recording that you guys hear on the podcast. But in reality, what are you doing right now? Are you like?
Okay, because
Are you surfing
I'm
Facebook?
doing this.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
put your phones down. We're gonna go back and do this. Okay. 5, 4, 3. They do this every time. Here's the thing. That whole no thing is not going to be funny anymore. So we can't try to do the no thing anymore. All right. Man, it's like deja vu all over again. Okay. Last week's podcast poll of the week was, what's your policy on Star Wars rumors and spoilers? Because last week we talked about kind of a primer on how to handle news and certain sites that you can trust and certain ones that you probably should be a little careful of and other ones that you should completely stay away. And so we gave you sort of our opinion about that. And then we asked you guys what your thoughts were on it. So why don't we just talk about the poll instead of
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, okay.
Let's just move on.
What's your policy on Star Wars rumors and spoilers? 53. We had 4 choices. Bring it on, tread carefully, complete lockdown, or other comment
Yeah,
below.
303 votes.
303 votes, and we still have 21 hours left as the recording of this because it's Thursday night when we record this. So, and here's the thing: if you want to like participate in the live YouTube version of this, where you get to see all the goof ups and the mistakes and the behind the scenes stuff, then you actually have to subscribe to us on YouTube. Because then you'll get notifications. Yeah, so it's over there is what we decided.
Wait,
and then you have to just turn on notifications, and then you know when we're live, and then you can participate. But anyway,
here.
yeah. Anyway, so podcast poll of the week: bring it on, tread carefully, complete lockdown, or other comment below. 53%, over twice of the other votes. Twice as many votes was tread carefully, which is where we stand, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sort of in between, careful about it, but not like complete lockdown, not trying to be scared of it or anything like that. So, yeah, so that's what we have going with that one. We have Bring It On and Complete Lockdown, almost neck and neck tied, which is interesting because like I was saying just a minute ago in my deja vu moment from earlier. Yeah, when we recorded this and then messed up, that's like the fandom, right?
Yep.
Completely polarized on this issue. Some of them want no spoilers, and some of them want everything.
Yeah.
And so 22% say complete lockdown, don't give me anything. 21% give me everything that you could possibly give.
Mm-hmm.
And others say comment below. So let's read some of these comments here. Did I have Micah?
No, you
have
got-
Micah. You got Micah. Micah is awesome. By the way, at Star Wars Time, all of you guys that are watching on YouTube Live right now, you absolutely know who I'm talking about. He is one of the most positive, supportive, from our very beginning. I know
Really?
he's been promoting us.
You never mentioned it.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah. So anyway.
All right. Well, Micah says, with spoilers, tread carefully or try to avoid. With rumors / speculation, to me, I think is a healthy conversation that fuels the excitement and desires of what we want the Star Wars movies, books, and TV shows to hopefully have or B. It's just our fantasies running wild.
Yeah, I think that's a
So,
great first.
Basically, yeah, he's just saying we got to have something to talk about in between the movies, which is exactly why we're doing the podcast.
Absolutely,
That's
yeah.
why we're in the tread carefully category, because
This would be a
We've
boring
got-
podcast.
this would be a really boring podcast. Yeah.
At least for us. All right. Did I have the next one?
Yes,
Yes,
you
you
did.
I did, and I'm excited about that because you guys are watching on YouTube Live right now. Younglings Podcast. Woohoo!
Yay.
They are one of the awesome YouTubers and podcasts that are family friendly and kid friendly. We love you guys. We think you're awesome. So I'm really excited that you guys are not only we're able to share what you shared, but also that you guys are watching us live on YouTube right now and participating. So anyway, 2 weeks before the movie, there are so many trailers. That's the way it's worded. So with lots of posts. Okay. And I try to avoid watching those because I think they reveal too much. Spoilers are too much because how reliable are they? They might give you false ideas of the film, which may ruin your whole first viewing experience. This
Yeah.
one is a well-layered and thought out response. And I think that we should break it down. So we've got some things here. Like I try to avoid watching trailers because I think for 2 weeks before the movie, because I think they reveal too much. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Especially like with The Last Jedi.
I watch trailers no matter what. I just find that it gives me more of that. I go in. I don't find that they have too many spoilers. Sometimes with Star Wars, like The Last Jedi, they barely give any of the plot away. And so I wouldn't really say that it gives too many spoilers away, but to each their own.
I mean, I don't think trailers give away too much. I think Lucasfilm especially is really careful on how they edit the trailers.
Nowadays,
Yeah.
not 20 years ago, which you're going to see in a few minutes.
Well, this was my next point. We also have hindsight 2020. You know, looking back, if we went back and watched the Last Jedi trailers, we would have been like, oh my gosh, this is a blatant spoiler. But watching it the first time, we had no idea what it meant.
That's interesting.
So, yes, the Phantom Menace trailer may look like it gave away the entire plot, but we've seen the movie. So it's tough to say. I like trailers. I like it. It gives me ideas, helps me know.
Especially because they're official, right? And so
Right.
you trust Disney and Lucasfilm and the producers and the directors and everybody to be careful about what they reveal. And
Right.
on The Last Jedi, I mean, people went into The Last Jedi completely unprepared for what they experienced in the film, even though they saw the trailers. And so that was an interesting one. And then again, talking about spoilers, are they accurate and do they shape the direction of your preconceived notions before you go into the movie? What do you guys think about that idea?
I was about to say with the trailers, it does. You do see it in a different light when you see the trailer. And I mean, I like that. I go in seeing one thing, and usually it totally goes against what I had my headcanon as. And I don't mind that. I like being surprised, especially when I pattern the story after the trailers, and it totally goes against the trailers. And if you think trailers are spoilers, then yeah, I guess they would shape how you see the movie. I personally like watching the trailers. Now I don't like regular spoilers. They're no fun for me. So, but trailers I like, and yes, I do believe they should.
I do like trailers. If there's a movie that I've wanted to see and they haven't released anything for, I immediately go to the.
And you have to understand, Nathan is not just obsessed with Star Wars. He's obsessed with movies in general. So
True. I go immediately watch the trailer. If they release another one, like even a TV spot or an international trailer, I still watch it. It's just not that I'm desperate for some more news. I just like to see, because most of the stuff you see in the first trailer isn't also in the second trailer.
Mhm.
They put some of the same stuff,
sure.
add a couple more scenes in there, maybe.
Right,
But it's
yeah.
not too much that they give away.
Mhm.
I just like watching the trailers. So
awesome. All right. So thank you, Younglings Podcast. You guys are great. And then another one that we really like, who's got that
I
one?
do My Star Wars Life Deck.
Another family-friendly, kid-friendly podcast.
And at Bloody Orm.
Or me. Yeah.
Or me.
Bloody or me.
Okay. He says, depends on how long until release. Right now, I'm Bring It On. Then a month before, I move to Tread Carefully. And the week of release, I go on complete lockdown.
Wow.
Now, I really agree on this one.
Yeah.
I'm more like, I need news. I'm at that desperate point. just need something.
Right now you are.
Yes, I'm not like
Like maybe a title. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not like I need rumors. I know those are rumors and I know those are theories, but I just want something official to give me some meat to chew. I just.
Okay.
But like he said, a month before, I'm more of a when they release the trailer and the title after that, I'm kind of like, okay, let's tread carefully.
Yeah, be careful when you read anything online, that kind of stuff.
Very careful.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to do the week lockdown too. I mean, and I lock down on all social media, and I learned to do this after Rogue One. I was scrolling through Facebook. It was about a week before. I was just doing my thing, and I see this post. It was just like a fan art or a promotional art for Chirrut, right? No big deal, it's just a picture of him. And then I noticed, Facebook has those reactions, right? And I noticed one of the top reactions was the sad emoji.
But the thing
So I
is,
pretty-
didn't we see
I was-
that opening night?
No.
Yeah, we saw it opening.
Okay, well,
But,
still, I saw
but the red
before
carpet premieres and the world premieres and stuff were before that.
Right. So I figured from that, sure it dies. Now that's not the most massive spoiler. I didn't realize that all of them died, but it did kind of ruin that moment.
So do you guys know what actually happened to Star Wars Celebration in 2016?
Yes.
No.
Oh, you know. Okay.
Courage.
So they were doing the panel.
Oh yeah.
So Baze
remember
Malbus actually revealed that Chirrut was going to die at that on stage, and like all of them were just and it was funny because Gwendolyn Christie played Phasma.
Mm-hmm.
She was the one interviewing them,
Oh really?
and you just kind of get this like moment where everybody was like, "Oh crap! What just happened?" And it's interesting because he's I can't remember the name of the actor that played him, but
yeah.
the reality is he's not as comfortable with the English language,
Yeah. No.
and he was struggling to understand questions and to answer them effectively. And as he was trying to figure out how to answer the question, it came out because he was trying to speak in a second language. It was
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think I remember hearing the behind the scenes for the Rogue One. Basically, he had a translator come on and tell him just exactly what to say and how to say it.
How to say it.
He didn't even necessarily know what he was saying. He just
Right.
mimicked the sounds, which I thought was pretty impressive.
But in 2017, on the Last Jedi panel, Daisy really said something. It wasn't a like humongous spoiler, but she just said they couldn't leave with Kylo and Rey, and it kind of gave people some like.
Yeah.
And you just saw the fury in Ryan Johnson's eyes. He was just like,
Like,
hold,
oh, geez.
hold.
Yeah, like you're in
But I
trouble.
mean,
buddy.
for the most part, Lucasfilm and the actors are pretty good about keeping spoilers.
Yeah, if you've read any of the stuff that's come out in the last few months from Richard Grant, Mark Hamill, and some of the others about the way that their scripts are and everything else, they know how serious this is.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get a ton of spoilers going into episode 9 that are actually legitimate from what we actually have heard or read online. I'm sure you guys have as well. From what I understand, the only person that actually knows the title of episode 9 is J.J. Abrams.
And there weren't a lot of spoilers for Last Jedi.
We didn't get a lot of spoilers. For
There weren't a lot.
No, not a lot came out. A lot of people were disappointed, though, going back to what I think Younglings said in their tweet, their response. They got all these supposed spoilers for The Last Jedi, and they built this headcanon, this story around The Last Jedi that they didn't that they expected when going into the movie, and then when they weren't accurate, they were very disappointed because they created the story in their heads. So awesome. Well, I guess that'll do it for the podcast poll of the week. Let's move on. All right.
All right.
You guys are having a ball over here on the other side. You have them talking about things.
Younglings said thanks so much.
Of
course.
Isaac, you should be the newest knight of the Commonwealth, buddy.
Right?
There you go. And Isaac, if you come out to Celebration, we're going to bring you a special Turbis gift. Okay? So, Rick, make sure you let us know if Isaac's going to be coming out to Celebration, because I think you guys are, you may or may not. If you are, you're there, let us know. We've got a special gift for you, Isaac. Okay?
I don't even know what the gift is.
I don't know.
All right.
I'm sure it'll be cool though, knowing all of the Turbis merch we've got. So
Yeah, we're going to do something cool.
We're going to give him a pillow.
All right. All right, so let's move on. We're going to go into hot takes. You guys don't know what those are, so it's not like we have to set this up. Put your phone down.
My phone is down.
Let's move on. You guys got your drinks and stuff?
I do. Oh.
Oh wait, no, it's resistance recap.
Oh,
Not hot takes. It's you.
Oh. JG just
Jeez.
said something.
What JG said?
The whole head
Green.
cannon reminds me of Steel as
Pushing for Ignite the Green. Yeah, but he was so cool when it didn't happen. That's what I love about Steel, and I love about some of this. You know, there's this push for Ignite the Green, and then when they didn't bring it out, he was fine with it. He laughed about it. I remember seeing it, seeing the movie, and then going to Twitter immediately following and checking it out. Steel was so cool about it. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. He is classy. You're right, JG.
His stickers to your Soap Theory.
Yeah,
socks.
exactly. Your Soap Theory socks.
He's totally cool with
set of stocks. Yeah, I mean and of course, you know, he's been really gracious to us. So,
Oh, very gracious.
we really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna do resistance now.
Yay!
You ready?
Sure.
Good episode.
That was a great episode.
Any of you haven't seen it?
So for you guys, this is your spoiler alert. If you have not seen the previous episode, which was the core problem, go check it out. Don't watch the rest of this segment. And come back like in 20 minutes or 10 minutes or so.
Oh, 20
10
would
minutes.
work. You watch the episode.
Yeah, go watch the episode and come back. It's fine. You can catch us on our podcast later. So, all right, ready to go, guys?
Yes.
5, 4, 3.
We've known since the beginning of the series that BB-8 was going to have to leave Kaz and reunite with Poe Dameron. But how that happens and where BB-8 and Poe leave to go to are what makes this episode really exciting. It's time for Resistance Recap.
We've a mission for you. And we're gonna have to fix that. What's up? I didn't see that.
No.
That's funny. All right, you guys ready?
Ready.
Ready.
All right. So this last week's episode was titled The Core Problem, and its synopsis goes like this.
So hold on. If you
spoiler
have not
alert.
listened to or seen that episode and you're listening to this podcast, go watch The Core Problem and ignore our podcast until you're done. So spoiler alert. All right, there we go.
All right. Kaz accompanies Poe on a mission to investigate First Order activity in the Dassel system within the unknown regions. Traveling there, they discover that the system's sun has vanished, several wrecked planetoids, and that the planet, I'm not sure, Nidra Va?
Sure.
Yeah, has been drilled through. Kaz and Poe encounter a First Order probe droid on an abandoned moon whose population has been wiped out by the First Order. After escaping First Order TIE fighters, Kaz and Poe part company with BB-8, accompanying Poe on a mission to Jakku. Returning with the astromech droid CV-23, Kaz's frequent trips off-world start to draw Tam's suspicion.
Yeah, that's when things start to get interesting.
Yeah. All right. BB Nate.
No, you gotta go
What would
first.
you like?
I like this segment of our show for one major reason. I don't have to think as hard. All right, you're the one hosting this segment, so this is fun. So go, BB Nate. Talk about what you liked.
I thought it was a good episode, an all-around good episode. I didn't think it was great. I wouldn't say it was a filler,
No, it wasn't.
No,
a
it definitely
filler.
wasn't a filler.
not by any means. And they did. I don't know where I read this, but I'm pretty sure that they did confirm that he was going to Jakku for Leia's secret mission.
Yeah, I think it's pretty
Oh,
cool. Yeah, he says he's got General Leia sending me on a mission, and he's going to Jakku. So I mean, it's pretty
Pretty
clear
clear
what
where
he's
this
going
is
for.
going.
I thought there wasn't much stuff that sticked out to me.
Stuck.
Stuck.
There was not much that I like.
I mean,
Wow,
there wasn't any
great.
revelation in it that was like
No.
over the top.
No, but
with
it was
it-
just an all-around good episode.
It was a great episode.
Yeah.
It's for me. It was one of those episodes that I've been waiting for
Mm.
because I now know where we are in the story.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
at this point, I know where Resistance up at this moment fits with The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. At this point, we know we're like right on the verge. I mean, the Hux scene from the mid-season trailer, all that stuff, that's getting ready to happen, which is interesting. But that's not what I liked the most about this episode. What I liked most about this episode was Tam and the way that they set her up to being sympathetic to the First Order.
Yeah.
Not because she's a bad person. And that's an important distinction that you have to make when it comes to things like the Empire and the Rebellion and the First Order now and this. You know, you read the Bloodlines novel and there are good people that supported the First Order because they were looking for a stronger form of government. And Tam is looking for, these pirates have been attacking, these First Order good people are there to help, and she thinks that they're, you know, they should be supported. And so they're setting up this storyline with Tam that I'm really intrigued by. I'm excited.
Well,
What did you think?
yeah, I totally agree. I like where they're going with that. They started setting that up a pretty good amount last episode, which was the Trooper one, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they started really amping that up. So yeah, I agree with that. One of my favorite things though was Kaz and Poe's relationship.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know who said it on Twitter.
Yeah, who was that on Twitter that said that? I said it on the internet that day. I think it was BB Kate on Twitter, at BB Kate.
That's
Yeah.
good. But basically, it's summarized. It said, Kaz is like that crazy fun uncle that you have, you know. He kind of gives you bottle rockets and with no instruction and just says to go have fun. You want to hang out with him, but you don't want to like invite him over for family dinner or something like that.
Yeah, or like you would never leave your kids with him for any significant length of time.
Right. I mean, that's exactly what happens. Like they get on that planet that had been destroyed or had been the population had been wiped out. And he's like, here's a blaster, you know. And then Kaz is walking around. He slips, he falls, he shoots off a shot. And then the way Poe handles it, he's like, just be careful, Kaz.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally nonchalant, doesn't care. So I just love the way their relationship in this episode. It was a fun episode. I mean, like you were saying, Nate, nothing super stuck out to me, but nothing was like bad about it. I didn't like dislike anything in it.
Yeah, no, the only thing I didn't, you know, I mean, if I was going to say anything negative or whatever about the episode, it was that nothing really happened in the episode that moved this story. Like it was a big revelation.
Right.
You know, it was cool to see the planetoids that were destroyed and that one planet that they tried to core out and trying to make Starkiller Base. It was fun to see Alex and Molly Damon had a disagreement as to what the actual status of those planets were. Were they being destroyed by Starkiller Base, or were they trying to build Starkiller Base, and that was what was going on? It was fun to see them all in one. So yeah, I mean, it was good. Is there anything that you kind of that wasn't a highlight for you, or that you didn't like?
Not much that wasn't highlighted, but something did not stick out to me, but I just noticed. If you think about it, Taco Donna's attack.
They keep talking about Takadana a
Yes,
lot.
and if
Yeah.
you think about it, Takadana's attack is in around 4 to 5 days after Bill leaves Jakku. Because night when he gets there, and then it's next day that Ray finds him. And then in the morning, the next day, is when Finn gets there
Okay.
and meets with Ray, and then they leave. And then it's probably another day. So it's 4 to 5 days until around when Han meets and they go to Takadana.
So are we saying that we're potentially less than a week from the destruction of Hosnian Prime?
Yes.
That we know we'll see in Star Wars Resistance from their perspective. Are we less than a week from that in our timeline, right?
Seems about right.
That's pretty amazing.
Adam Odell, though, he commented about the best revelation from the episode. He
Oh,
said, best revelation was learning that they tried to build Starkiller Base several times with cored out planets and stuff, which I thought was interesting. I thought it was cool to see all the different prototype planets that they have. But you got to think, the sheer amount of resources and time that they have to be able to, oh, that planet didn't work and we cored out a large portion of it. Let's just move on to the next one. That should be pretty terrifying for the Resistance. That takes a lot of manpower and resources to be able to do.
That's awesome.
So I agree with you, Adam. That's pretty interesting.
Awesome. All right.
And then the next episode, or next week's episode, is The Disappeared. And it's teaser, synopsis, whatever. I'm still not sure.
Tiny little official
Clips.
summary.
Summary. There we go.
I don't know.
The First Order presence is affecting life on the platform. Big races are being canceled, and platformers are mysteriously disappearing. Kaz and Tora manage to successfully free the First Order prisoners, but don't realize that their actions have put Team Fireball in a compromising position in the disappeared. And we have a clip for this week's episode.
We
right?
do. And pay attention as you hear this clip to Tam. I think this is really important. Okay, guys, the clip is playing right now. We should probably pay attention to it on our end, though. So. Mm. Wow.
Dang.
Huh.
So we see this
Hello.
division, like Tam supporting, it's hype being hype, and the First Order's good, and yeah, this could get ugly.
If you remember Tam's backstory with Hype, do you remember that in the first episode we see Hype? So
I
basically,
vaguely remember.
she worked with him.
She wanted to become an ace
Mhm.
as high phase on as well.
And I don't remember exactly.
A hype got in there, but didn't even. And Tam wanted to get in there,
That's
but she
right.
couldn't because of the fire.
So she's
and they totally disconnected.
so she's pretty. She's
She's
got
pretty bitter,
animosity
huh?
with him, which is understandable. So it's understandable why she's saying what she's saying there.
But she still considers hype as a friend.
I think she thinks
even
of him.
said it. She says, our friend's gone missing.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, but that phrase can be used in general and stuff like that. It's interesting here. JG over on the YouTube live feed here says this episode was really hyped, which I think is funny. By someone who works high up in tops. I'm very excited. I really feel people not watching will start tuning in after this one for sure in time for the finale. So, hey JJ, you gonna go over there to Twitter and let us know, or send us a message, or tag us on a link or something so we can find out what you're talking about. That'd be awesome. Yeah, very cool. So what do you think is going to happen in this episode?
I think a lot of stuff is going to go down. And Aunt Z, she's
mad. She don't like the First Order.
Well, she was around when the Empire was around, so she knows what to expect.
Really? I don't remember that.
She was. She's old.
I mean, you can just tell that she's.
Well, she's
probably-
old enough, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, probably about the same age as Yeager. And
Yeah.
Yeager's
Yeah.
saw the Empire,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
she just doesn't want our history to repeat itself, which is interesting because Tam, she wasn't alive to know the Empire.
Yeah.
She knows the whitewashed version of the story, so history is repeating itself.
Yeah, and we could we haven't done a lot of these over the last few episodes, but you have those dad moments
Yeah,
that we've talked about before. When the next generation comes up and they don't understand the history that was critical to the previous generation, it creates a lot of bad things can happen. I'll use this as an example, as someone who's spent a lot of time, been to Israel 4 times, spent a lot of time studying the Jewish people and things like that. This idea that seems to have creeped up, or there's 2 different perspectives with the Holocaust and this kind of next generation. One that it didn't even happen is one
it doesn't
version,
even make sense.
or people don't even know about it. And so what you're saying is similar to this,
Yes, that's where I'm
because Tam is she's not trying to be, she's not a bad person.
No.
We know that. We've
She's
experienced
just
that.
misinformed.
She just doesn't understand what's going on with that.
And I think she's starting to
Doesn't she get cat? Oh, I'm sorry.
She's starting to get worried about the First Order, I think, with last week, the children from Tahar, I forget their names,
Yeah,
but
okay.
they said that their First Order massacred their village.
Mhm.
And she's
And
like,
she's
well, they
learning
had to
about
have a reason. And the kids are like, well, if they did, then we don't know about it. And she started to think about that.
Yeah. Doesn't Tam get kidnapped by the First
That's what
Order
we saw
in
in
the
the
in the
trailer.
mid-season trailer?
Yeah,
Or get
something like
captured
that.
or imprisoned or something like that. So like John is saying on the YouTube live feed here, he's saying that he thinks Tam's going to not be with the Resistance at the end of the season. I think that that's actually not the case. I think that she's going to be captured by the First Order, and that's actually going to be the catalyst to get Yeager to move off the fence. Like, I don't want to be involved. There's a moment in the mid-season trailer where he's like, I'm ready to come. I'm in. I'll follow you anywhere, Kaz.
Yeah.
And so I think that's after this whole thing happens with Tam. So
Do you think that's gonna happen in this episode?
I don't know. I mean,
I
we
feel
could,
like the
very
lie
well
is
could
going to
be.
go down.
yeah,
I
it's
feel
going
like
to be a fun one. I'm really,
Alright.
really excited about this episode. So yeah, we can't wait to talk about it next week. Yay!
Okay, so check this out. I don't know. It may have just come up for me. Okay, you're not getting as many things. You need to go to live chat. There's a lot more coming.
Yeah, not top chat, live chat. You're gonna see it.
Okay.
Oh wow!
A Twitter post. I can't see this right.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna look it up right now.
Boyd speaks of episode of Star Wars Resistance. I mean, but the reference near the end and the actual ending itself, you're gonna want to tune in this.
Nice.
Okay. So we had the answer all wrong, but we just were on the wrong thing. And Rick said that we will be there.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. We got some stuff for you, Isaac. We're gonna hook you up, bro. All right. Cool. All right. Let's move on to hot takes so that we can do things for
Interesting. I don't recall
interesting.
that.
Yep, I don't recall that. Okay. So, all right, let's move on to the next segment. You guys are all right. That was great.
I'm sorry. I had phlegm inside.
This is not nearly as phlegmy as last week, though.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna edit that clip on Friday. It's gonna be
Try to, at least, because we're seeing the movie, like you said.
Yeah, we're gonna see How to Train Your Dragon
And
3.
people are saying it's and this was on Twitter, and it was like somebody.
Well, of
official.
course you could believe that.
It was somebody official, and they said this trilogy is really good, possibly better than Star Wars.
Oh, now see, that's just dumb.
Yeah, that's not
That's just
no. Oh wow.
Yeah, no, you're right, Adam. That the idea of Kaz's dad, who we don't know who he is, being on Hosnian Prime.
Okay, I had a thought about this a couple nights ago.
Ooh, you get some behind the scenes. We are talking about this on the podcast.
Yeah, they don't get this.
You got to watch YouTube Live.
They don't get this.
So I was thinking, this is on Disney Channel, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm worried that killing off Kaz's dad might be a little bit too dark for Disney Channel. So I don't think they're going to go there. I think if they do go, I don't know. It's tough to say. I think they may play it off as it looks like his dad died, and then it turns out he got off the planet just in time or something. But it just seems like it'd be too dark for Disney to do that. Then again, in all the old animated Disney movies, wasn't like their mom dead. or
Oh
something
yeah,
like that?
parents died all the time.
Parents died all the time, or they had bad relationships with their parents.
Or they're like evil witches or something.
It was insane, and like,
But I'm just worried that they won't go there because they don't. It's Disney and it's too dark. That's why I was.
Can't be dark.
No, it can't. I mean, that's why I was worried about this being on Disney Channel. Is that I don't know if I'm talking to the mic, you guys can hear. Is as soon as I heard it was on Disney, I was worried they're not gonna be able to do as much as they did with Clone Wars or Rebels because they had more breathing room. So I'm just nervous.
I
about
agree
that.
with you, JG. They have gotten darker each week.
Yeah.
Very.
All right.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that though. Although
I
don't have
say
enough-
that.
I agree with you, Rick. He's a centrist like in Bloodline. I am right in line with you. I
Ooh.
thought that from the very
I-
first.
I
Or
got
he's
that vibe,
Snoke.
too. I just
I think that he's raised mommy.
Wait.
I
Wait.
worried. I don't think they're gonna kill him off yet,
Oh, I
or
think they
in
are.
the next couple episodes. They got to develop more of a relationship with him. We've
Oh.
seen him in one episode.
We have,
And we've heard about him in another.
and we've heard
Right.
about it. But Kaz has said that he hasn't. They we're really close.
Yeah.
And I feel
I don't
like
know. Anyway,
if we see him sadly
they've gotten
die,
darker each
I
week.
feel like it just Kaz will totally like full resistance. Like,
Well, yeah.
I feel like nothing's holding him back because
Yep.
he never told him about the
No, they
resistance.
there was a lot of ones I didn't read there. They've gotten darker each week, the G card says, which
We just
I have
read that.
noticed. You read that?
He just
Yeah,
said
we
it.
just said that.
What about Adam's right?
He listens so well.
I was reading it. It says, I could see that. Still sad to see his home destroyed and that make it a little better that his dad survived. I could see that. That would be pretty tough.
Reread Blood. It's so fast.
Absolutely.
And it's true.
Or just re-listen to it because
Yeah, that's what we did.
That's what we did.
All right, we need to move on. It's getting later. Are you guys ready for hot takes? Put your phone away.
Sure.
All right, 5, 4, 3. Apparently, our episode last week on how to differentiate between Star Wars news, rumors, and clickbait came with a test this week. We have more details on a canceled single. I can't read. We have. I'll edit this. I'll edit this out. 5, 4. Apparently, our episode last week on how to differentiate between Star Wars news, rumors, and clickbait came with a test this week. We have more details on a canceled Star Wars single-player game. Can't get that out. And trade disputes and political corruption are finding a home in Chicago this April. It's time for hot takes. I'm all tongue-tied.
Hopefully, Ruby.
All right. Yeah. All right, I should probably get my mic on. All right, yeah, there's my mic. Okay. Rumor, Disney considering several more Star Wars shows for its streaming service. This thing blew up, like Sunday night. We literally finished recording our episode, and then like Twitter blew up that night with this is a Star Wars a Star Wars show coming on Disney Plus. This is a Star Wars show coming on Disney Plus. All these things starting happening. So here's the article. This is from I don't know this website, but it was a good article, so I picked it. Winteriscoming.net. According to HN, which I can't remember which one that was. I looked it up. Gosh, bad form. All right. The Mouse, that means Disney, is mulling over 5 potential ideas, including series about the adventures of young Princess Leia.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
First Order Chrome Dome Captain Phasma, played by Game of Thrones star Gwendolyn Christie.
Okay, so basically play the Phasma book.
No, it's not the Phasma book. You can even read the Phasma book. The Mysterious Knights of Ren.
Oh, yeah, we need more about them.
Rose Tico, starring Kelly Marie Tran.
I
That
mean,
could be
what was
divisive.
it?
Maybe a Rose and Page.
Cobalt
series?
Squadron was a great book.
Maybe a Cobalt Squadron series would be nice. And the Sith Lord Darth Bane.
Well, he was the guy at the end of Clone Wars in the Yoda arc. Okay, yeah.
So he's canon.
He's canon.
And adding to this fun, Star Wars Newsnet, which is one of the sites that we said last week is very reputable. We believe in Star Wars Newsnet. Adam, those you're watching on YouTube Live right now, you're a big fan of Star Wars Newsnet. We know that. And we think that they're very reputable. Reports that, wait for it, that an Obi-Wan Kenobi story is also being considered.
And you didn't mention 2. Lando and Kira is also.
Yeah, that one's gone around too. I like what one person tweeted. They said, basically, it was actually Wikipedia that tweeted this. If there's a Wikipedia article on it, they're probably seeing rumors that there's a Disney Plus series coming from it. Because it's, so anyway, Star Wars News reports that an Obi-Wan Kenobi story is also being considered because it's not a real rumor unless he pops up somewhere. And naturally, it would start Ewan McGregor reprising his role from the Star Wars prequel trilogy and would be more of a one-off miniseries of 6 episodes. So is this a hello there moment?
People are thinking that at the end of the Phantom.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit. Do you think that that this is legit? And let's start with the Kenobi one because that's the big one. That's the one we're all excited about. If it happens, do you like the idea of a 6-part miniseries starring Ewan McGregor playing Kenobi?
I want it to be, but I don't think it will be.
Are you trying to temper your expectations just a little bit?
I think so, because all of these things, it's just people like
They're
kind of
just
going
rumors.
insane. I think people are like kind of going insane. Like, we need news. Let's make it up.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that there's a lot of smoke here, and I think that there may be fire. I do believe that they've got other Star Wars things in the works. The idea of some of these, you could have. I think there's two different elements to this. You've got this group of all these different potential series that they're talking about, which could have been simply somebody saying, we had meetings a year and a half ago, and we talked about this, and that got out, okay? I mean, this could have been the same meeting that they talked about Cassian Andor series
Right.
being in. And they decided on the Cassian Andor series. And so now there's rumors going around that they're doing all these other series when really it was just they were talking about all of these
They're
potential.
brainstorming.
Right.
Yeah.
But then I've got a lot of confidence in Star Wars Newsnet. Those guys know what they're talking about. They've got sources. And if they're saying that they've got information about a Kenobi series, I think that makes sense. I think that they've always wanted to do a Kenobi series. I think that in the past they were planning on doing a Kenobi series. I think that they hoped to announce it shortly after the Solo movie, where Ewan McGregor was at the premiere, the red carpet premiere.
That's right.
With it. And I'm afraid that they decided to put everything on hold, sort of like what Collider heard. Remember Frosty a few weeks after that said that all these things are on hold now. And then Lucasfilm came out and said, no, nothing is on hold. Everything is moving forward. The reality is they got information too that told them that something wasn't happening.
Yeah.
I think that they decided to put a stop on the Kenobi thing, let things play out a little bit longer and announce it later. And then going back to what Nate was alluding to a minute ago, I think they announced a celebration. What do you think about the whole idea?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, they need to do something with Kenobi. They just know that the fans want it. So it would be stupid if they didn't do something with Kenobi. As for like a one-off 6-part miniseries, I like that idea. They can fit more into it.
Yeah, like treat it kind of like the Sherlock movie series.
Yeah.
You know, where with Ben Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah. With they have these 2-hour episodes. If you do, give me, please, I'll take it. Instead of a Kenobi movie, give me 6 of them. I'll be happy with that. Okay.
I mean, I like that idea. You can get more into the details of it than you would be able to in a movie because you just don't have the time. As for the other series, I mean, they're cool. I like the ideas. Everyone wants the Kenobi, so that one I'm the most excited for. I don't know. I think you're right. I think they were just throwing them out there, and someone, like Nathan was saying, they just needed some news, so they kind of blew it out of proportion, which is just what's been happening in the past few years. I mean, like, it's like Star Wars fans after, like, people after, like, a blackout or whatever, they just start freaking out and rioting. That's kind of what's happening in Star Wars fandom right now because we're
having a blackout, and so we're looting in the streets and riding, turning cars over, and because
that's exactly what's happening.
And a bunch of Star Wars babies are going to get born 9 months from now.
Yeah,
because that also happens in the blackout.
I didn't know that.
The birth rate jumps up.
Why?
Because there's nothing else to do.
Oh.
Anyway, so family friendly. All right. Yeah.
Well, as I was saying, I was going to say this. What was it?
The stork shows up 9 months later. That's what I was trying to say. I don't know.
You messed it up with your inappropriate content.
All right, we'll move on now. Oh, well, I want to mention this though. Young Princess Leia. Any chance we get Millie Bobby Brown playing Young Princess Leia? I still think that's awesome.
Well, you gotta think there have been a lot of mini series that aren't 2 to 3 hours. There are a lot of miniseries that aren't that long and have 3 episodes or 6 episodes in it.
Right.
Say the Peggy Carter series that was on ABC.
That's true.
That they renewed.
It was a 1 hour series. 1 hour.
They had 6 episodes in one season, and then they renewed it for a second season because they got such high praise.
If I remember correctly, wasn't the Sherlock series like just 3 episodes that were 2 hours?
It was 3 episodes.
So that
it could be the same
evens out.
Yeah.
So
I would take 3.
I would. Yeah.
I'd be fine with that. So, all right, next one. Why Project Ragtag was canceled? Do you guys know anything about this?
I've not heard
So-
anything about this.
So this is from denofgeek.com. Uncharted alum Amy Hennig and EA's Visceral Games were working on an ambitious single-player Star Wars game at Visceral under the codename Project Ragtag before the project was canceled by EA in 2017. Fans never got to see much of Ragtag, which reportedly focused on a group of scoundrels and thieves. But Hennig has now revealed that development and production on the title had gotten quite far along before the plug was pulled. And she quotes, "I think Visceral was sort of beset with a lot of challenges," Hennig explained in an insightful new interview with US Gamer. "Even so, we were making a game. People have said it was an Uncharted Star Wars." That's sort of reductive, but it's useful because people can kind of visualize something in their head. I have no idea
Okay.
what that means.
So,
Well,
So
they have-
inform the old man what an Uncharted Star Wars would mean.
Okay, so we have the first 3 games downstairs.
Uncharted, the game series, one of the people that you mentioned had worked on the game.
Yeah, no, but I don't know what I don't understand
They're
Uncharted.
great. It's kind of like an Indiana Jones mixed with Tomb Raider mixed with.
Is this the one you just got like
Yes.
Christmas time or something like
So
that?
there's-
It's somewhere around there.
there's-
And
Puzzles,
puzzles, jumping, parkour, and shootouts.
platforming is what you're trying to
Yes,
and then shooting. So it would, I don't know about the puzzle part. I mean, I guess if you were following a Dr. Aphra-esque character, that would work really well for an Uncharted Star Wars game.
Well, it's scoundrels and the thieves. It's
That's-
a group of scoundrels and thieves.
Yeah, so maybe, I don't know. I don't think they would have puzzles really. The
No,
puzzles
they would.
just okay.
It worked for the Lego Star Wars games.
Well, that's the Lego games have always had puzzles. I don't know. I mean, I like the idea.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think that there was puzzles in Knights of the Old Republic.
There was.
No, like things you had to solve and stuff like that.
Well, if you think about Knights of the well, I mean, is this group of scoundrels people who plunder old ancient temples?
Probably.
Because in that case, it would make sense because that's what you do in Knights of the Old Republic. You plunder old.
Would you guys be excited if they come
Oh,
out with
heck
a movie-
yeah.
a game like that?
Any new Star Wars game we'd be excited about.
But,
Like we said, we're kind of desperate right now.
on the earnings call, which is another thing why I listened to it, they said that they're doing great on the movies, doing great on the TV shows, doing great on the comics, doing great on the UFC fights, which I still find weird for Disney. But they said they are struggling with games,
Yeah.
especially Star Wars.
Mm.
They said that EA is doing great and that people shouldn't be really worried.
Well,
But they
I-
said that they said that EA is getting better, and they say that they've seen parts of the new games, and they say it's great.
Well,
they did retcon.
When we see Fallen Jedi, we'll find out.
They did retcon Battlefront 2. Just a
Or
little
Jedi
bit.
Fallen. What is it?
Jedi
Jedi
Fallen
Fallen
Order.
Yeah, Fallen,
Um,
that's what it is.
Yeah,
It should be canon.
JG Karst said, I just want a linear story instead of like an open world or multiplayer. I like where you're going with that. I like linear story, sort of like the campaign for Battlefront. That was fun. But I like the idea of an open world Star Wars game with a story woven into it. I just like the idea of being able to explore a vast Star Wars universe.
Well, if they said with Uncharted is very straightforward, like they can.
It's not open world?
No,
Really?
it is. You really do just have a path for you. You can't really go anywhere else. I mean, if you want to, you can run around in circles for an hour.
Cool.
But it's a very story driven and
Linear story.
so
Okay. That's interesting.
All right, well, let's move on. Star Wars Celebration Chicago to celebrate 20 years of the Phantom Menace. Probably the most predicted element of,
Yeah.
other than the episode 9 panel. But they officially announced it just yesterday.
Well, that's
With this year's Star Wars Celebration less than 2 months away, the Chicago-based fan event celebrating all things Star Wars will have a special spotlight panel for the Phantom Menace. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the first Star Wars prequel released in May 1999. Introducing the space opera franchise to a new generation of fans, along with the rise of a young Anakin Skywalker in the Jedi Order, as the Galactic Republic faced a resurgent Sith backed by the Trade Federation. Even reading that, guys, let's be honest, the criticisms have some validity. You're talking about Trade Federation and stuff like that, trying to figure out how to describe Star Wars. But anyways,
senatorial shenanigans.
yeah, senatorial shenanigans. I have to throw that word in there. The film divided audience upon its initial release, while it's currently unknown what the Monday panel will entail. That's it. I lost my page. So
I think it's actually it's right.
it's right here. This is Nathan messed up my pages really.
I-
Virtually guaranteed some members of the cast and crew will appear, with no details having been included with the panel's announcement. Samuel, what's your prediction for the panel?
Oh jeez, I don't know. I think the cast will relive some of their favorite moments from it. It'd be cool to see Ian McDermott. I don't know if they'll get Liam Neeson in there. They probably
He's
won't
doing
get
too
Natalie
many,
Portman because she doesn't do a whole lot of stuff with that. I mean, I would hope they get Ewan McGregor, and then on the last day
I've been predicting it for a year.
he's just there and he announces
give that little.
This is the prediction I've been saying for a year. They do a 20th anniversary panel. I think that they get Liam. I think they get Natalie. I think they get, of course, Ewan. I think Anthony Daniels, Ahmed Best, Ray Park, Ian McDiarmid. Maybe they even get Rick Oley, to show up there. He could say something really obvious as part of that. But Rick Oley, the pilot of the Nubian cruiser.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they bring him in and they celebrate it. I think Natalie's like becoming part of the family again. That she showed up last year at Disney, and they like did some stuff with the stormtroopers and stuff.
Right.
I think she's going to be I think it's a perfect way for her to come back in and
Give a little reward to all those people that saved last day, because
I think they're trying to keep people through the last day. It's hard. Think about the scheduling of this.
Yes.
Right? It's Thursday, just the Bounty Hunter day.
Which is going to be a great day.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. But no
Really
panels.
excited.
Friday panels, Saturday panels, Sunday panels. Now, when we went in celebration in Orlando, Sunday was sort of a dud day.
A dud day that
Right.
I'm not going to.
Anyway, it was a dud day. And, we left that afternoon. They want to keep people through the weekend. That's the whole goal of this. So they put this big panel with, I think, the Kenobi announcement at the end. And they don't announce anything about that throughout they don't announce Kenobi until Monday. So they finish it up, and then at the end, Ewan McGregor's part of announcing the Kenobi series. I think that's what they
So we're talking about so they're putting the Phantom Menace panel, which the 40 Years of Star Wars was the first panel.
Yeah.
And now they're putting the anniversary panel in the last day. Now I got to think about this. They have a lot of big panels before that to put that on the last day.
Yeah, when they got Episode 9, they got Mandalorian, they got Clone Wars, they got the animation panels. It'll be fun to see.
It's going to be a very packed celebration that we're going to have to really wake up very early for.
Well, you just decide you're not going to sleep, and don't tap on the table because it messes up the mic. Thank you. All right, I guess that's it for hot takes. Oh, that's grueling. I definitely want to hit that paddle. Yeah, you
Plus,
and me.
there's so much big.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently 5 days. That's what I just said. JG smarter, like me.
That's a good point, Adam, about the Disney Plus panel. Yeah, I
think the Disney Plus panel will be better because not many people are going to go to that. I don't think. That's not a big panel to go to.
I think it's going to be a big panel though, with the Mandalorian stuff, Clone Wars.
True.
Disney Plus, they're probably going to release a ton of. Yeah, you're right, a ton of series there.
But I could see them letting the Disney Plus panel be about Mandalorian and Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And then maybe announce some of these other series,
or one or
if
two,
they do
please.
any of these
Give
others.
us a little.
And talk about the casting in Andor series
Yeah.
and stuff like that. They haven't shown us anything or talked about that hardly at all. And then make that the big revelation of the thing. I think they have to have Ewan McGregor at the revelation, and I don't think he's going to show up in the Disney Plus panel. But I think it's a good point. Hi, Blanca. Thanks for joining us.
I mean, he may show up.
Max, welcome.
Just walk in and say.
I know.
I know. That's what I've been predicting. So.
Then it just goes in, and then
Or maybe they announce that the panel's over, and you have Ewan McGregor say
jump down.
No, just say,
stage.
"Oh, I don't think so."
Right. One of his classic.
Right. One of those
lines.
I think that would be funnier. Oh, I don't think so. And then they
just walks in.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about a little Phantom Menace here. You guys ready? Lots to talk about. You need to use the restroom. All right, we're gonna take a little potty break for BB Nate.
Sorry.
He's got the bladder of a grape. So.
He does.
Oh yes. You
That's
guys are nice.
awesome.
You take all the bags off.
Yeah. It's my bag, baby. You guys have never seen Austin Powers. So.
Nope.
So do you want to take the camera around and pan through the room and show all of our YouTube
Yes.
family here, our studio that we've got set up now? It's week 2, our second week in here. We're excited about it.
Do something to make it look.
Oh yeah, you got to put on the, and you got BB Nate got his new
I
Ultra.
know.
Saver
I'll just
today.
quickly show it off for him.
Oh, yeah, go
He
for it.
just got this brand new one.
Pretty cool.
It's
Pretty
got the
cool.
windows in there, which is neat. He's super pumped for it. I'm a little bit jealous. Not gonna
I
lie.
know, it's pretty awesome. And then we got mine that I got at Celebration Orlando.
Yeah.
Actually. So, all right, you just
Alright.
just show everybody around. I'm gonna watch and see what it looks like on TV.
All right, so we got our like prized possessions up there. Prized posters.
Yeah. Where we at here?
Hmm.
We got our Leia poster right here. We got our solo poster right here, which is cool. We got our Ryan Johnson poster with the Ryan Johnson autograph. We got Jeremy Bullock. We got Brian Herring, who played puppeteer for BB-8. What else? Yeah, show them around.
Got a whole
like our
bunch of
shrine.
stuff.
Right.
I mean,
And we don't have any of the Legos in the room yet. We're gonna
No.
get another shelf for Legos.
yeah.
Oh, that would be a good spot for it. Get a big long shelf right there. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's a good spot. Okay.
All right, and then I'll pan. There's Nick. It's tough
Hey,
to see.
Nick.
It's tough to work a laptop. So we
Oh,
got
my
some more
lightsaber's awesome.
posters over here. You know, our resistance. We got
The lighting is
resistance.
bad, dude.
Oh,
Okay, there you go.
right. Well, this is about all I got. It's really tough to
Show
work
us. Show us. Hold it up.
with. There we go.
There we go.
All right, so we got the resistance poster at Lucasfilm, right?
Yes.
We did.
And then the
Matt
turret,
Martin gave us that. Yep.
the turret, and the opposing forces one. We just got those at Celebration, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And then we got our cool, fancy studio soundproof wall, right?
Okay, they.
I know the lighting. Is,
No, they can see it now. You're good.
okay. I'm really not good with it. And then we got our Battlefront 2.
Our shrine to Han Solo.
Right. We got that from
Alex Damon from Star Wars
Mhm.
Explained gave us through that when we met with him when he was out for EA Play. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the tour.
So why don't we hook that back up now that DVD is back?
It was a really
Hey, and younglings,
fully done-
dudes, did you guys see that tweet from Matt? If you ever show up in San Francisco, he's offered to let you guys go tour Lucasfilm.
Which is actually a really
It
fun
was
thing.
such a blast. You got to take advantage of
Yes.
this.
It's
So.
like the time lapse of the
Oh yeah, we
DVD.
never turned that on, did we?
No. So I mean, it's like you have to.
There. He's blue. So
It's all in there.
it's
And,
the way
and
it is.
it looks pretty cool. You can turn all those on.
All right, let's talk about
our
our new.
probably turn the lights.
You can turn the lightsabers.
Here, talk to me. I'll do this while.
Talk to you. We are
Talk-
talking to you.
Well, yeah, just keep doing it while I'm doing this. Keep talking.
But there's nothing to talk about. We're just trying to start our show. Can you come sit down and let's record this podcast?
working on it.
So for those of you that are new, you just get the completely unedited, unfiltered version of our podcast
Yes.
recording with all of the mistakes and all the fun and none of the audio clips and any of that. So that's just what we're doing. So enjoy. So all right, are you ready, guys? Next segment.
Let's do it.
All right, as we just mentioned, we just got done talking about this. Star Wars Celebration announced this week that the final day of Celebration in Chicago will start with a special 20, I'm assuming because they do all the big panels at the start of the day. We'll start with a special 20th anniversary panel on The Phantom Menace. And this week we're looking back at some of one of the original trailers. I think it was the very first of the original trailers, since we might as well watch episode 1's trailer. We haven't gotten anything for episode 9 to watch. And talk about our favorite moment from episode 1.
Are we watching the trailer? Because I don't remember the trailer. I don't even think I've seen the trailer.
We're going to figure this out.
I think if you just play it on YouTube, it'll still play it through the system.
No.
You can pause it.
Yeah, I got it. I got it figured out. I'm good. I'm smart. I'm smart that way. All right, so everybody that you're watching on YouTube right now, why don't you go ahead and pull up another tab and go to the episode 1 trailer, the very first one, and we'll all watch it together. Make sense? And then we'll play it because we got to play it in the recording, all right? All right, so why don't we just do that right now? we're paused on our recording, so we're gonna swing on over and do the Phantom Menace episode. The Phantom
Yeah, I've never seen it. There was no reason
So
for me
like
to.
the
Menace
first
trailer.
panel that they announced is like, oh yeah, we're just gonna do the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, you guys can come around this way and watch
Oh,
this.
yeah, with
And those of you watching
with
on
the bad
YouTube,
Puppet Yoda.
oh, bad puppet Yoda. All right,
Oh.
all right, here we go. Oh, it's oh great, got a commercial.
Oh my gosh.
That ad book.
Oh my gosh.
So we're not gonna be able to hear it. I don't think. So we're not gonna be able to hear it. Oh, shit. So we're not gonna be able to hear it.
You refer to the prophecy of the one who will bring balance to the force. You believe it's this boy?
You can see things before they happen.
He can help you.
The force is unusually strong with him.
He was meant to help you.
Anakin! Tell him to take it off!
I ever see you again?
What does he want to tell you?
Are you sure about this? Trusting our fate to a boy we hardly know.
Anakin Skywalker, meet Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I sense much fear in you.
Bad
The
puppet
boy
Yoda.
is dangerous. They all sense it. Why can't you?
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
So I gotta think. Nobody
I'm
knows.
sorry, go hurt yourself.
Nobody's seen Qui-Gon Jinn, so they don't know who he is. Nobody knows who Mace
All right,
Windu was.
let's get up here. We're gonna talk about this. Don't talk about it.
Oh
When we
my
talk about it.
gosh!
All right, so we're not gonna play the clip because I'll just insert the clip.
Okay.
Okay, later. So you guys don't have to see us listen to a clip for 2
Do
minutes.
that again.
Thank you guys for your patience with that. I remember when I saw it. Let's just go ahead and talk to you, Adam, since we're on pause. We can, right? I remember when I saw that as an 11-year-old. You made me feel old, Adam. Thank you. I was
Like 20 something.
24 years old. Oh, jeez. I thought it was so cool hearing Qui-Gon say Obi-Wan Kenobi meet Anakin. I know, even now, just watching that, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, so all right, there it is. The trailer for
With very bad Puppet Yoda. Very.
very
Very
bad.
bad.
Okay, so you have like all these thoughts, you got all these things, Sam. Go.
So at the time, it's weird watching it now because we know who everyone is, what everything, what happens and all. Nobody knew who Jar Jar was.
And we only see Jar Jar for years shortly. We
Yeah.
don't see him a lot in this.
Nobody knew who Samuel L. Jackson's character was. They didn't know he was Mace Windu. They didn't know who Liam Neeson's character was. They didn't know he was Qui-Gon. They didn't know who Shmi was. Did they know who Padme was?
No, we didn't
Yeah,
know.
they didn't know who Natalie Portman's character was. So it's weird watching it and thinking about it through their perspective in 1999, the Star Wars fans' perspective.
Oh yeah,
Um,
but there's somebody in the room that had that perspective. So.
What did you think?
Well, first thing I thought, I remember when we was seeing it was, oh my God, we're getting Star Wars again.
well, yeah.
And it was something you got to remember. There's no YouTube. There's no internet. I mean, the internet was new. This stuff hadn't started yet, and so you had to go to the movies to see this. You had to like go see A Bug's Life and stuff like that. I'm not kidding. That's just,
Well, yeah, there was. Yeah, YouTube wasn't a thing.
No.
No, that's
The internet was barely a thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was selling websites to businesses at this time, but seriously. But the reality was, yeah, you had to go to the movies to see these trailers. I remember seeing this trailer and being really excited.
What movie were you seeing?
I think it was A Bug's Life. I think I saw that with Mom. But anyway, the moment that Adam just mentioned on the YouTube live of Anakin Skywalker meet Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
I remember, like, you're watching and this is cool, lightsabers and spaceships and
Darth
Jedi
Maul.
and who's that red-haired, red-faced guy and
With the double
and that little boy, that's Anakin, and you're seeing all this and who's that queen, and you're trying to figure all this out, and then that moment that Qui-Gon says Anakin Skywalker meet Obi-Wan Kenobi, I remember the chills, and they do it right now. Ugh, the chill bumps literally come up on my spine, and I remember thinking, oh my God, that's what we're getting ready to see. We're getting ready to see that moment in the hovel on Tatooine where old Ben Kenobi is telling the story to Luke, and then all the stuff that we see in 4, 5, and 6, that is what or that we hear about in 4, 5, and 6. The explanations, a certain point of view, all that kind of stuff. All of that is getting ready to be played out right before our eyes. And that was probably the most exciting moment for me. So
I imagine. I was watching the trailer now and I was thinking, for fans in 1999, that line right there was the highlight of the whole trailer. I mean, and it was pretty
it was
amazing.
I mean, it was so cool seeing Darth Maul with the double-bladed lightsaber,
Yeah,
and everybody freaked out about that. But the memory that I have more than anything is the conversations about the Chosen One and balance to the Force, and wondering what that was all about. You guys realize that's not present in the original trilogy. There's no conversation about bringing balance to the Force. There's no conversations about the Chosen One in this. And so you're like, who is this and what is this all about? And then for that moment, like I said, when Anakin and Ben meet or Obi-Wan meet, that's exciting. So those are any surprises for you, BB Nate, in the trailer?
Not really. Yoda. I totally forgot that it had a bad puppet for.
Oh my gosh!
I didn't.
The original version had a really bad puppet with it. I'm not a big fan of taking like practical effects and replacing them with CGI.
No.
But in this case, thank God they did in those Blu-rays, because that was not a good version of the puppet.
No.
So so let's talk about some things we liked about, or just some of the different elements to the Phantom Menace, and I want to get your thought processes on it. The whole thing starts really kind of weird with this whole trades disputes situation. You're reading this crawl, and they're talking about there's a trade dispute between the Federation and the Trade Federation and the Republic, and a blockade of Naboo and all that kind of stuff. And I remember going with my buddy Matt. His name was Matt Weisgerber. We went to Zaxby's Chicken Tenders and ate that, and then went over to Mobile, Alabama, and watched this together. Because Mom had no interest in going and seeing it.
She had no interest in seeing
none at all.
She
does not like Star Wars. But anyway, oh my God, we're muted this whole time.
You're freaking kidding.
Oh my gosh, we've been muted since we came back. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. See, this is the stuff we deal with. YouTube, you get to see who we really are. Do you still love us in spite of our failures?
You could just rip the audio.
I know, it's audio so bad on there.
You could just explain why.
No, I'm just going to keep going. All right, 5, 4. All right, there's the trailer. And we're having another deja vu moment. And if you're watching on YouTube Live, you know why. Samuel the Hutt. What were some of the thoughts that came into your mind as we?
Well, I mean, I was watching it and I was trying to think about it through like a fan's perspective in 1999. And, I was realizing nobody knew who Samuel L. Jackson's character was. Nobody knew who Liam Neeson's character was. Nobody knew who Natalie Portman's character was. Nobody knew who, I don't know, the actor. Nobody knew that was Shmi Skywalker. I mean, all these characters that Nathan and I know from just because we've seen the movie and it was no big deal, were new characters. Darth Maul. Nobody knew that was Darth Maul. They'd never seen a double-bladed lightsaber before. I mean,
And
these things
double-bladed
are-
lightsabers were part of like the Legends universe and stuff like that. But seeing one on screen, it never happened
Okay.
before.
So Nate and I mean, it was I lost my train of thought. I mean, these characters and things that are commonplace and normal to Nathan and I were totally new in 1999, which I find kind of bizarre to think about, you know?
Yeah.
And, well, obviously you were one of the fans who were watching the trailer for the first time, and you were in that place or whatever that I'm referring to.
Yeah, because there's no YouTube, there's no internet, there's
Right.
no like, hey, you know, Twitter's announced that they're going to announce on Good Morning America tomorrow morning, and then it's going to show up on my Facebook feed, you know, at 6:30 in the morning, and I'm just going to watch the trailer. No, I had to go to the movies to watch it, and so, I think honestly, I think it was A Bug's Life. That Mom and I went to go see when this happened. And I remember, well, first of all, I remember the green Lucasfilm. And I'm trying to remember right now if I had heard that they were announcing a Star Wars, that they'd even announced that they were making a Star
Yeah,
Wars.
the internet was still pretty new, so news and travel.
And I was like in that dark period. It was the dark ages for me, you know, between, you know, I mean, I had just gotten married. I had, you know, I was trying to figure out how to be an adult, and I wasn't paying attention to Star Wars. I'd read a couple, like I read the Thrawn trilogy, and I read some of the comics, the Dark Forces comics and stuff like that. But I was not really a part of the Star Wars like geek culture at all at that time. And I honestly think I remember when the green Lucasfilm logo came up on the screen, my head perked up like, is this what I think it might be? And then it was the Star Wars trailer, and I loved it. It was awesome. You know, all the different things in there. But like, you know, like we were talking about a few minutes ago before we started the recording, for me, the moment that was the biggest chill bumps for me was when Qui-Gon Jinn says Anakin Skywalker, meet Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I realized, oh my God, they're really going to do this. All of that stuff that we heard the stories about in the original trilogy in 4, 5, and 6. You know, Ben talking to Luke in episode 4 in Ben's hovel, and then having to tell the story from a different from a certain point of view, having to tell it again later because of the reveal from episode 5 and all that stuff. I realized that this is the Star Wars. I mean, this is the universe that this is going to be in, and it was pretty exciting about that. What did you think about the trailer?
It was very interesting. I thought it was put together a lot different than nowadays.
Yeah, it feels like they tell a lot more in this trailer, but maybe that's just because we know the story.
Right, as I was talking about.
But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's very put together differently.
Well, yeah, trailers evolve over time.
It's just,
you know, you watch the original 1977 trailer for episode 4, and it's totally
it's
unlike
hilarious.
anything that we've seen before. It's so cheesy. But, you know, trailers change over time, just like movies and
exactly.
culture in general changes. So,
yes.
It was interesting. All right, well, let's talk about the movie itself and kind of think about what our thoughts are on The Phantom Menace. It's a controversial movie. Lots of people have, you know, like if you talk about the machete order of Star Wars, the reason that they call it the machete order is not just because they move things around, but because they cut something completely out, and that's this episode. And there is some truth, there's some validity to that. You really can tell the prequel saga movie story without the Phantom Menace in a lot of ways. You know, you get to episode 2 and you've got a Padawan, Anakin Skywalker, and we know kind of the stories between Padme and some of that stuff you could pretty much pick up pretty early on in the storyline. So that's one of the reasons that this gets cut off on the machete order. And other people feel like it's just not a good movie. I remember watching it the first time. I was starting to tell the story a little bit earlier to you guys. You know, I went with my buddy Matt Weisgerber. We went to Zaxby's Chicken Tenders, and we got some chicken tenders, and then we drove across the.
Is Zaxby's good?
It's really good. Yeah. Anyway, we went across the Mobile Bay Bridge and drove into Mobile to watch this on opening night. with it, and you don't know what you're getting, and then they roll the opening crawl, which is this really bizarre entry into Star Wars. Think about the opening crawls to the original trilogy, A New Hope and Empire and Return of the Jedi. I mean, it's about the Force, and it's about the rebellion, and it's about a battle, and it's all about those different types of things. And then your characters Luke and Han and Leia in the 5 and 6. This one opens talking about trade disputes and blockades and politics, and it was a little weird watching it the first time, and the negotiations and the Jedi thing. It was bizarre.
It's tough. It's still tough for me. It was totally over my head. When I first watched it, or even when I was younger and watching The Phantom Menace, I just thought it was cool because it had Darth Maul, But even now, the politics behind it are still like, I don't understand it. I don't understand what exactly a trade dispute is and why it's such a big deal. I don't really understand what a blockade is. Like, I mean, it's because
keep going.
It's because I'm young. I don't really get into politics. Politics are I just think they're boring. So that's why I have a hard time watching episode 1, because it's all politics. They're talking about, they're in the Senate and they're talking about, I mean, I don't remember the movie, but it's tough for me to follow just because there's so much politics that really only matured adults or people who have more understanding about how governments work than I do are watching it. So maybe someone when we're watching it again can explain that stuff to me.
What do you think about the whole opening and the trade disputes and all that? And
It's
the premise that sets up episode 1.
strange, because that's like you said, it's nothing like any of the other Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's nothing like 2 or 3.
In 2 or 3, there's not a whole lot of politics in it. I mean, when they're
No, there is in the end of 3. And it's critical. It's critical in 3.
I can sort of understand 3 though.
Yeah.
That
But
makes more sense.
Well, we'll come back to politics a
it's
little bit
just
later.
strange.
Yeah, it is strange. And the opening was a little bit bizarre.
Yeah,
It's funny,
I-
Adam on here on YouTube Live, he's got a degree in political science. He says he doesn't understand the trade disputes. And then you have John Cars, saying that he was 7 years old when he watched this movie, and he was totally into politics at the time, and he loves it. So, to each his own, right? I just remember feeling like, oh, wait, Star Wars, and now we're talking about politics, but it was bizarre for me. Let's talk about this other idea that enters into this. And, it's been alluded to in some of the in the expanded universe stuff that was present before the Phantom Menace, but it was really brought to the forefront here. You want to look ahead of the notes, don't you?
No.
Even Nate's like looking ahead. He's cheating.
I'm not.
He's cheating on the test. All right.
I'm not.
Masters and apprentices. This idea of the Masters and Apprentice, the rule of 2. The Jedi Padawan idea. So you've got Qui-Gon Jinn is a master, and he's training Obi-Wan Kenobi as his Padawan. This is a new concept in the Phantom Menace that we had not seen much. We haven't seen it at all in the original trilogy. It's briefly alluded to by Obi-Wan, talking about training Anakin. He was a pupil of mine.
Right.
Until he turned to the dark side. He's talking about Darth Vader actually in that moment.
Right.
So this, but he talks about Anakin as his friend and Darth Vader as his pupil, which is another indication that George Lucas didn't have all of this as fleshed out as some people want it to be when he wrote the original trilogy. But what do you think about that? Then you've got the Darth Sidious thing, the rule of 2. It's talked about at the end. Oops, my screen fell. At the end of it, when I think it's Yoda tells Mace, always 2 there are a master and an apprentice, right? So we get
That's
the rule
the
of
end
2
of
brought in, which is an expanded universe concept.
Oh, that was already around.
Yeah, it was around in
Okay.
and it comes from George Lucas. George Lucas had already talked about the rule of 2 with the Sith and stuff like that. But what do you think about those characters? Let's talk about Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and their relationship. How did you feel about that? And how does it match up with some of the other mentor apprentice relationships in Star Wars?
Well, we don't get much of the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan relationship. We don't get it as kind of an Obi-Wan Anakin, like a father and son type thing. We don't get much of that. We just get that he's a teacher,
Isn't there a book coming out about that?
master and apprentice.
Yeah,
is what
that's
it's called.
Totally ready for that book by Claudia Gray.
And I'm
Yeah.
excited for that because specifically I get to
And
learn.
Claudia
more.
Gray wrote Bloodlines, which we talked
Right.
about. So.
And so we didn't get to see much of the relationship side of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember one line specifically that where Obi-Wan says, I always want to call him Ben for some reason. Obi-Wan says, Master, don't defy the council, like you did before or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's knowledge there, there's background there. But I'm really excited to look into the Master and Apprentice novel that's coming out. What do you think about the relationship between Qui-Gon and
I had always thought it was kind of meh, just because I think, like you said, there's no backstory. There's no emotional connection to them. Qui-Gon, I didn't really have much of an emotional connection. I thought he was a kind of cool guy. But that was about it. It's tough to explain. But, as to their relationship, it's still tough to connect because you just don't know what they've been through together. So the moment at the end of the Phantom Menace when Qui-Gon, is killed and Obi-Wan's like cradling him, it doesn't have as much emotional impact, to me at least, as it could have had.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I saw him at the beginning of this movie and they didn't really give us a whole lot of backstory. So while yes, there are elements in it that
George Lucas failed, he didn't give us backstory.
Right.
To Qui-Gon Jinn. Sorry.
It's okay.
I was just channeling my toxic fandom.
While yes, there are elements to their relationship that are seen in Obi-Wan and Anakin's apprenticeship, Obi-Wan and Luke's apprenticeship, or Yoda and Luke. It's just, it doesn't, it's
there's not as much weight to it.
Yeah.
I remember though when Qui-Gon gets killed at the end, being a little surprised by that moment.
Yes.
For me, watching it in the theaters for the first time, I did not expect that to happen. And then for that to be how the master-apprentice relationship between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin really is sealed in the result of that. So, what about Palpatine or Sidious in this case? Darth Sidious and Darth Maul.
Okay, so this is really interesting. I find this to be a better relationship than most people would think. You don't really see Sidious to talk to Maul that much. But if you read, say, the Son of Dathomir comics.
Which are those canon?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And what was
The
it?
Clone Wars stuff.
Yeah, so that type of stuff. You see that Sidious is really angry with Maul.
Yeah, he doesn't care for Maul.
Well, Maul failed. And
Yes.
failure
But
in
he
Sith
wants
relation-
to. Mother Talzin gave him Maul, gave him Savage. She keeps giving these force-sensitive beings to him, and to return, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go hunt and kill you down and kill you."
Well, I think it's interesting though because as we've talked about Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan, and now Palpatine, or excuse me, Sidious. Let's use the Sith term, Sidious and Maul. We've had a lot of development of the Sidious-Maul relationship in canon, and through Clone Wars and through the comics, and it's even talked a lot about in, if I'm not mistaken, in what was the novel? It was a Clone Wars novel. We listened to it on the way back from Lucas, on the way to Lucas.
Oh,
A Dark Disciple.
yeah.
And she Ventress talks a lot about the relationship
Yeah.
between Maul and Insidious and stuff like that. So I think that there's a lot of exploration of that. There hasn't been a lot of exploration between Qui-Gon and Kenobi, and I think that's why I'm excited about Master and Apprentice.
Well, there is. They're getting more backstory on them, specifically with the Age of Republic comics coming.
Yeah, that's been out
They
too.
came out with an Obi-Wan,
Mhm.
and they came out with Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
And that's around the time, and I want to read the Qui-Gon one, just haven't gotten to it.
Mhm.
And they released so many of those. I thought they were only going to release 3. No, they released like 6 different storylines. So I really think that the Qui-Gon one is going to have a lot of relationship between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and have more backstory on that.
Okay, interesting. Cool. Let's talk about Padme. And you got to think about it from this perspective. We know Natalie Portman plays Padme, and she's the queen. And if you're going back and watching the Phantom Menace if you were like introduced to Star Wars through Clone Wars, or you were introduced through sort of just the broader stories of it, the surprise of Padme actually being Queen Amidala, it's not a surprise.
Right.
I'm just going to be, and maybe I was the only one that didn't like figure this out watching the movie the first time. But when Padme reveals herself as being Queen Amidala to the Gungans at the third act of the movie, I was totally surprised. I had no clue that this was the same character with it. Were you guys remember watching the movie if it was the same character?
No, because I remember it was just the same character because I'd always, been introduced to that she's the queen. So that didn't really have much shock to me. In fact, until now, I didn't realize that was supposed to be a surprising moment because
that's bizarre to me. Did you know it was supposed to be a surprise?
No.
It was a total surprise to me. And then going back and watching the movie again, and you have like Qui-Gon, she's saying, the queen would not approve. And to Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon's like, blowing it off. It's like he knows too.
Oh, he knows.
I'm the only guy that didn't get it in the entire world. But anyway, all right. What did you think about her character in general? And then, of course, you can't talk about Padme and Phantom Menace without talking about "Are you an angel?"
Oh, yes.
That whole sequence on that. And sort of the creepy sort of 14-year-old, 9-year-old love relationship that they start off on that. What do you guys think about? I mean, imagine right now that you were dating an 8-year-old girl, or like you were expressing your affection for an 8-year-old girl. Would that be weird?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that'd be weird too. It was a little bit weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a criticism that's like legitimate in this, because especially, I don't know, maybe I was like, maybe that's not Luke's mom. Maybe there's somebody else that they're going to get connected with. But yeah, when we got to the Attack of the Clones, we realized creepy was where they wanted to go with that. So what about the Gungans? Let's talk about Gungans, and specifically our favorite Gungan.
Jar Jar.
Darth Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar. So what do you guys think about the Gungans in this movie?
They're interesting.
Yeah. They're interesting. That's how Nathan handles everything.
very-
You know how to talk about
Oh,
it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying, like,
That's interesting.
they're really hard on Jar Jar. You got to think of that.
yeah, that's a weird relationship.
Oh yeah, he messed up a couple times.
Well, we don't know what he did to necessarily mess
Do
up.
we though? Is that somewhere listed in canon?
I think so, but like
Not sure.
you mess up a couple times, you don't throw them out of their civilization. That's not the right thing to do. Give them a couple more chances instead of being like,
Lisa saw the banished. See, I can do Jar Jar. I'm good Jar
and
Jar.
then turn into Elmo.
Yeah, it turns into Elmo if I'm not careful. Right. What do you think about Jar Jar and the Gungans?
They were important to the story, and they were an interesting species and character. Anyway, they were interesting species and characters, right? I think they could have been handled better, in a less childish way. They could have still been funny, but and a sort of comic relief, because that's a lot of the reason why Jar Jar's in there.
Oh, sure.
And a lot of the Gungans.
It's honest. Let's be honest here. Jar Jar was supposed to sort of fall into the C-3PO / Chewbacca role. Like it was an amalgamation of those two those two roles, and it just struggled
It
to work.
turned into a slapstick.
Slapstick, yeah.
And like the way they were talking, like just that could have been changed into a more. I don't know how they would have done it, but it could have been handled differently. The humor could have been handled differently. I mean, it could have been more like the humor of the original trilogy, which was a lot more dry, intelligent humor. Not just he fell over and threw this grenade and it hit a droid or whatever. So it's tough. I mean, he's part of Star Wars. I don't want to hate the character or the guy. It just could have been handled better. I thought.
Okay.
So
That's fair. What did you think about it? Oh, we talked about that. So, yeah. Let's go back to some politics. All right. And let's talk about the Senate and sort of the shenanigans.
But
like
we
the
only have to talk
senatorial
about one
shenanigans.
person.
I don't even like hardly.
I am the Senate. Yeah.
Only have to talk about cities.
Yeah,
I
but
mean-
he's not in this case, though. In
Not
this
at this
movie,
point.
he's not.
So I'm still. I should probably know this from ninth grade American government, but I don't really remember what a Senate even is. It's like
Oh wow, this is. I'm
it's
embarrassed
okay.
right now.
Hold on. I think
I'm a
it's
little
coming
embarrassed.
back. It's coming back.
All right,
At least in the American version, 2 representatives from each state
correct.
gather in the Senate and they propose ideas and they like talk about.
They debate laws and then
Right.
they vote on laws.
I
And they're the
even like
legislative
this.
branch.
Well, no one
Yeah.
asked you.
Yeah. So anyway,
Whoa.
So
Sam's an
basically,
engineer. He's obviously not going to go into political science.
Me either, but
All right.
So basically, in the Star Wars universe, it's a couple, or I think it's like even sometimes like 5
It's a representative, 1 or 2 representatives from each one of the systems,
systems.
and there's thousands and thousands of systems.
Okay, and the systems are
all the members of the Republic.
no, but there's a single planet or a series.
Yeah,
of
I think it's
planets?
part of the planets.
Okay. Anyway, so okay,
So you're just
that
trying to
clears
understand
that up.
the politics. Of
Yep.
this.
Okay, so that clears that up.
Okay. So what? So you've got this character in there called Chancellor Valorum. And the chancellor in this case is like the president. So it's like a parliamentary political system versus what we have here. So you
Okay.
have in this case you have the Senate and all the senators. They're the representatives of their planet in this case, and then they vote for the central leader that's supposed to guide and be the executive leader, like the president or something.
Okay.
So instead of like in our country, we all vote
Uh,
as people for the president. In the Star Wars
we vote for
Republic,
the senators.
we
and
would vote for the
senators
senators.
vote-
The senators would vote for the president.
I can
In
see
this-
why we don't apply that nowadays.
Yeah, it's a little different scenario. Okay,
Okay,
but the
anyway.
point is, you've got this Chancellor Valorum character, and then you've got Senator Palpatine, who's supposedly
He's
the
just a
good guy.
senator from Naboo.
Yeah, he's like a good guy.
low-level guy at this point.
Exactly, he's a good guy in the
Okay.
movie. I mean, he's played like a good guy, Senator
Yeah.
Palpatine.
He's supposed to be.
And so, and he's like helping the Queen, and he's friendly with the Jedi and the Jedi Council, and suddenly out of the blue, with no manipulations whatsoever, he's suddenly chancellor. They bring him in and they vote. It's interesting to think about. We blame Jar Jar in Episode 3 for the Emperor.
Right.
Because he's the
He
one that
voted the
voted the
emergency
vote of no confidence, or the voting of
Emergency.
powers indefinitely. And that's not. Is that in 2 or is that in 3? That's in 2. That's
Is
in
that
2.
Okay.
Yeah, so he gives emergency powers in Attack of the Clones because Padme's out running around with Anakin, and she's not there to do
No,
it.
I thought-
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it
Because
is.
when
The voting of the clone army.
then
It's
when
the clone army.
does
yes.
when does Padme say, this is how Liberty died?
That's at the end of 3, but that's later. She's there for that.
right.
She's
What's
not
that-
there for Jar Jar.
What's that in response to now?
They need to vote in the clone army, but there's too much bickering and division among the Senate, and so there's this idea of we grant him emergency powers and he gets to make the vote.
Okay.
Kind of like Trump's doing right now. But anyway,
Let's not get into real world.
well, I mean, it's that sort of situation.
Okay.
He's building a wall using an emergency declaration. So, it's that same sort of scenario. Can't get it done in the Senate, so let's just give the executive the authority to do it. That's what Jar Jar does.
Okay.
And we blame Jar Jar for the Emperor.
Right.
But the reality is, if Queen Amidala doesn't call for a vote of no confidence against Chancellor Valorum in Episode 1, Chancellor Valorum's not removed from power.
Mhm.
They don't put Senator Palpatine up.
Mhm.
This is why The Phantom Menace is a complicated, difficult movie for people to
Yep.
get into. They don't vote Senator Palpatine as to become the chancellor, and he's just so humbly accepts with this. We know that this is all being maneuvered by Palpatine
Right.
because he is Darth Sidious.
He's playing both sides.
There's 2 characters
Mhm.
in this movie, and they come together more in 2 and all the way into 3.
Right.
With it. But it's really as much Queen Amidala's, it's Padme's
Right.
fault, as it is Jar Jar's fault because of the whole vote of no confidence. And that's why this gets complicated. And then, of course, we have a little bit of Senator Organa.
Yeah.
I don't think is he even mentioned in this movie? I'm
Not
not sure.
really. I don't know. He's not very big at all.
Yeah.
So, how does Palpatine become Chancellor if he's just kind of a nobody senator from Naboo?
He was influential in the Senate. He was a senator from Naboo. He had been a senator for a long time. He was the
He knew
representative
people,
from
people
Naboo.
knew him.
He had spent, as Sidious, as his plan, he had spent decades maneuvering relationships and getting himself into the position for this. He had manufactured. This is why the Phantom Menace is so hard for kids. I mean, kids can love it because of Jar Jar. They can love it because of the ball and all this other stuff. They struggle with the story because, you know, Sidious is maneuvering for decades to put himself in a position to get this trade dispute in place and the blockade in place when he thinks he can manipulate Padme, Queen Amidala, into voting a vote of no confidence against Chancellor. He's looking for the moment for this to take place, and he's been maneuvering it. It's a lot of complicated
That's
stuff.
actually makes his character even more impressive now because I didn't connect.
So now we gotta watch the Phantom Menace.
I know. So you gotta explain to me though.
And BB Nate's over here just kind of like, what? Yeah.
It's stuff is clicking right now though, which is nice. The start of the movie is talking about some trade conflict. What are they talking about?
There's
Like is taxation on a trade route or something like that?
yeah, basically yeah.
So that means-
There's trade routes that go through Naboo.
Okay.
Okay, and the Trade Federation wants to tax them a certain way, and the Trade Federation is like a separate organization outside of the Republic.
So what would that be in
Like another country.
Okay, so
Hey, I learned about
Whatever.
this already, so I'm just waiting here for Sammy to click it.
Oh, okay, good. Well, good. You're smart, BB Nate. All right. So they want to trade. They want to tax these trade routes that go through Naboo. The Naboo people don't want this to happen, which has got to be Palpatine maneuvering that at the same time. So he's at Sidious setting up the trade routes, the Trade Federation stuff with Dooku, we know. And then you've got this whole now the Naboo are against it, and so now the Jedi are coming in as sort of an independent negotiators. Qui-Gon and they're diplomats. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan come in to basically mediate this dispute to help them come to a solution. And that's when the movie starts.
Okay.
That's why this movie is such a challenge.
Okay.
Because it's so complicated to figure out how we got to where it starts. So when you're sitting there as 24-year-old watching the crawl, and you're trying to figure out all this stuff that's happening, it's hard to wrap your head around.
So the Trade Federation would basically be like if China wanted to more heavily tax their
a
imports.
sea route going through by another country.
Okay.
Okay. And so the UN,
because their goods are going through that.
Right.
sea
So the
route.
UN then comes along and says, we'll mediate this dispute between China and Taiwan in order to make sure that there's no conflict. But in the end, in this scenario, the head of the UN or a guy in the UN is maneuvering both sides of it and trying to set. Do you see? You're rubbing your eyes because it's complicated.
That is really complicated.
It is. And this is why the Phantom Menace has such a reputation.
This movie because I had no idea what the frig was going on.
But now I think if you watch it, it'll make some sense. All right. So let's talk about one last thing. You talked about Phantom Menace for like 30 minutes.
I just want to read this comment real quick.
Okay.
This guy just popped in, Ganon136.
What's up, Ganon?
He just said, "What did I just walk into?"
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to explain the opening, the scenario,
the first
setup
5 minutes
for the Phantom Menace, and it's taken us 30 minutes. And this is why the Phantom Menace deserves a little bit of criticism. Okay.
Because I'm not good at politics.
Okay.
So he just had to give me a full politics course.
Taxation and trade routes, yeah. But when you don't understand what's going on with taxation and trade routes, it can be confusing. Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. So we've talked about this for like 30 minutes, and we haven't talked about Anakin.
Oh my word. And this movie's about him.
It's all about him. So what do you think about the now, if you guys, BB Nate, for all of our YouTube people, can you look at the camera like straight on as much as possible? Does he not, like he could pull off a young Anakin Skywalker? Like 5 years ago, when he was 9 years old, 4 years ago, when he was 9 years old, like perfect Anakin Skywalker as a
You could
child.
do a pre-1 and 2.
Yeah, you could like if you could give him a little braid
Yeah.
and get him a Jedi costume with his saber. There you go. You could be Anakin Skywalker.
Saber at that point.
Yes, he did. Yeah, sure did.
Between
So
one and two,
anyway, what do you guys think about Anakin in this movie? And Jake Lloyd?
He's got more game than I do. And he's
Yeah.
9.
Are you an angel?
Maybe I should pick up that line or use that pickup line.
Yeah, again, and I did actually see that trailer. We're gonna talk about that in a second. But anyway,
It's he's very weird in this movie.
he's weird. What do you mean?
It's interesting.
Different than 2 and 3. When you think of Anakin, a young Anakin at least, you don't think of, ooh, it's a 9-year-old kid. You think of the 20 or 30-year-old.
Well, you do because you know you've seen him in that role.
Yes. But when I think of 9-year-old Anakin, I think of, are you an angel? And
It's working. It's
now
working.
this is pod racing, and let's try.
Now this is
spinning.
pod
Spinning's a good trick.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
What you think of is the memes.
Again, the criticisms of this movie have legitimacy.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. A bad Star Wars movie is a good movie. And this isn't necessarily a bad Star Wars movie. It's just a complicated one. And then you've got some really goofy dialogue written for Jake Lloyd.
And unnecessarily goofy characters.
Yeah, with Jar Jar and stuff like that. So,
But I just didn't find him to be. I mean, he was great. He played Anakin great. I think, like you said, Hayden Christensen had a bad writer. I think
talking about him.
I know, but I'm talking that I think Jake Lloyd could have been a perfect young 9-year-old Anakin if he had a better writer.
And the criticism and the way that the fans reacted against Jake Lloyd after the movie was unacceptable.
Well, yeah,
and really, it's pretty pathetic that as fandom we can do this kind of stuff to people. Like we tried to do with Kelly Marie Tran, we did Ahmed Best. And I say we because I'm part of Star Wars fandom, and I'm trying to, let's own this. This is who we become. So we can only change it if we actually admit that there's a problem there instead of saying it's them that has the problem.
Right.
We're all part of Star Wars fandom. We need to change the dialogue. But anyway, what do you think about Anakin?
I mean, it was young Anakin to me. I mean, nothing really stuck out. Nothing was really, bad. I mean, it was cheesy, but that's just the prequels. There's not a whole lot to talk about with young Anakin, at least not to me. He filled the role. And that's about it to me. I don't have any major thoughts or reviews about it.
What about the pod racing scene? Do you guys like it, or do you like it?
I actually like the pod race. Now this is pod, that's not in that scene. But the cheesy lines aside, it's a really fun scene. Visually stunning, fun to watch. Unlike anything we had seen in Star Wars. I mean, we'd never seen a NASCAR race in Star Wars, but where people die in the NASCAR race.
Right.
I mean, it was fun to see. It was fun to see the fans and the announcers and
Jabba the Hutt.
right.
They made a pretty good game off of it, I would think.
I loved the pod racing game.
Pod Racer.
I've
Revenge
always
was awesome.
loved the pod racing game. I was really good at the pod racing game.
I thought I was
on Nintendo 64. So
Oh wow.
Wasn't
yeah,
that
that's a long
bad on
time.
PS1.
yeah, so cool. All right. Well, I guess that's gonna cover us for the Phantom Menace. Maybe in like 3 years when they do a 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones, we'll do this again.
Right? At least we can plan some things
Yeah,
out.
exactly. All right, we got the anything else segment coming up. Yeah, this is taxation, said the U.S. government. All right, nice, Gannon. Nice.
You said BB-8 looks like a
Pod racer I wouldn't want to mess with.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been pushing for a modern gen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right, cool. All right, let's finish this thing up because Mom's wondering what the heck is going
Yeah,
on.
this went way long. It's already almost 9 o'clock.
I know. Well, we screwed up a couple times, so.
It's almost.
And I gotta get up early for work.
Yeah,
You
me
gotta
too.
get up really
I gotta get up earlier than you.
Well, earlier than I'm used to.
I'm gonna have to wake up at like 7. Earlier.
Well, more earlier than I'm used to.
All right.
I've not
All right, let's stop talking about it. Let's record.
Oh, we gotta.
Oh yeah, who's doing which?
I'm in pork.
Well, yeah.
Nathan's doing the poor.
I'm gonna do the combat fencing, whatever that thing.
The French lightsaber
Yeah.
combat for fencing into Star Wars.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go back in and finish it up. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Well, Star Wars Project Porg lets you raise a virtual Porg family.
It's like Tomodachi.
StarWars.com released an article, and I read the whole,
Because it's about porgs.
and it was awesome.
It's about
I'm like,
turbos.
I gotta get me this. And they have different reactions for the Porgs. They made it feel more lifelike.
So is it like a little robot?
No, it's
Is it
pretty
like
sure it's like
a Pokemon?
it's like a VR Pokemon Go type of thing with your phone.
It's like a Tomodachi pet.
Yeah,
Or one of those little
I think
things.
it like gives you a notification like, hey, your pork is dying of starvation. You need to feed him food.
Really?
And
That's
it's like,
awesome. So it's like a
raise
pet.
his family. You see how it's going. You can have a droid in there to help you out. And that
It's
kind
a
of
game.
stuff. It's a game. Yeah, it's a game.
Wow.
But you raise a family,
Wow, that's interesting.
and I'm gonna
get it.
get it.
All
If
right.
it costs money,
But it's gonna cost.
Well, most things cost money now.
Star Wars doesn't put out lots of like promotional content regarding something like they have about this one without it costing some money.
So French lightsaber combat turns fencing into Star Wars.
But
and that
So
makes-
basically, the French fencing league has recognized lightsaber fighting as an official sport,
that's awesome.
which is awesome.
So is that why you guys both have lightsabers and you're gonna go practice and like maybe in like 2026 the Olympics will have
Right.
lightsaber duels.
But the
We
first
gotta-
thing, like with this, and you told me this, is the
So
attack.
I'll So
Okay, go.
the reason they made it's so kids will get introduced into sports and get off their screens,
Oh,
you know,
nice.
which I thought was cool. But they changed the rules a bit. I think the point system's the same. You know, your head, so many points, arms, whatever. But to be able to initiate attack, you know, in fencing, you know, they got those short little parries and stabs or whatever. But in this, to make it more aesthetically pleasing and more reminiscent of the films, I think the blade has to be behind your body before you initiate the attack. Otherwise, it won't count the points. So that way, there's these bigger moves that are more
wow.
reminiscent in the movie. So it looks more like
Interesting. I mean, they've got. It's not just like, hey, give them a lightsaber. And
right. No,
that's-
it's legit, and it's still pretty niche. Obviously,
Oh,
it just
yeah.
came out, and not a whole lot of people are going to get into it. But the people who get into it are full on into it,
That's
which
amazing.
is super cool. I mean, they start off. I mean, people use sabers like what Nate and I have, where it's just a light, and then they displayed the saber where it's got LEDs up the blade, so when you turn it on, it lights up the whole as it goes, and it's like, you know, those toy lightsabers that you get. It's like that, but it's meant to like smack stuff with.
Okay.
So it's
Very cool.
I want to
You're
move to
geeking out a
France.
little bit
I want
right
to
now.
move to France because this is my sport right here. I can do this is the only sport I could get into.
That's cool. All right, last one. Star Wars Battlefront 2 video game gets a huge Clone Trooper revamp.
So I
next
did
week.
not hear about this.
Yeah, so like they're gonna like change the look of all the clone troopers, like their uniforms and their costumes
Really?
and stuff like that.
They've been
I don't
doing
know.
a lot.
Yeah.
They've added a lot of
And then
skins
they just like as somebody just mentioned here on
yeah.
on our YouTube live,
Anakin.
they did like a 15-second teaser of Anakin's character.
Which is he gonna be a light side character or a dark side character?
I don't know.
Because they've already got Darth Vader, and it would be weird if you were playing light side and it was Anakin versus Vader. That would be really bizarre.
Oh, Gannon just mentioned, by the way, that in 2024 the Olympic Games are in Paris.
Yeah, I heard about that, but they mentioned in the video that it's still just so niche that they're really not gonna probably put it.
Maybe they'll do it as an exhibition
as an
while they're
exhibition.
there. Like just like display that, like bring everybody in and display it as.
That'd be
as
the
part of
only
it.
Olympic sport I'd be watching in 2024.
I mean,
They teased him versus Dooku in the trailer today, so the answer is he's light side.
so you could have an Anakin versus Darth Vader.
Yeah,
what if
that's
you just go up to him? Just
I wonder if they'd have, like, I wonder if they've recorded any specific voice lines for that interaction because they have.
So, and if
Voice
so, is it Hayden Christensen or is it Matt Lanter?
I don't know. I don't think it really matters that much. I mean, I'm just talking
Oh yeah,
about.
they're very different sounding.
They do.
Yeah,
So-
but I mean, I'm just talking about they've got specific voice lines in the.
Oh yeah, I'm
game
sure
where
they do.
Characters meet other characters. Right. I would think it'd be bad form if they didn't do that.
Oh, I think they'll do it.
So
Isn't Ahsoka becoming? Isn't
We haven't heard
Ahsoka
yet.
gonna
I think
be-
I think
have they announced Ahsoka yet?
Alex kind of gave us like.
I think Ahsoka's coming.
Yeah.
That's all secret. That's somebody might have told me. Okay. Was the Phantom Menace the first? Here's our podcast poll of the week. Was the Phantom Menace the first Star Wars movie you saw in the theater?
No.
Yes or no? It's interesting. For you two?
Force
No. But for me, it was. And you guys,
Well, that makes sense.
because I never saw the original trilogy in the theaters.
Because your
Even though I was
parents-
alive. It was a long story, and I'm scarred from it. But yeah, I didn't get to see those in the theater. I saw them on VHS
And on HBO.
and on HBO. You're right. And you okay over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, good.
Good.
So seeing
That's
that
interesting.
in 1999, when the trade disputes and taxation of trade routes and trade federations were the first thing on the screen I ever saw in Star Wars in the theater. Yeah. So
That's cool.
anyway. All right. Well, I guess that pretty much does it for this amazingly long and tedious episode. Thank you for sticking with us. Those of you on YouTube Live, you guys were amazing. Thank you for being a part of this broadcast and making it a little bit more fun. For those of you listening, thank you so much. You can find us all over social media, Twitter, at Tattoo and Sons, Instagram at Tattoo and Sons, although I haven't really done anything on Instagram in like weeks. YouTube, we do this, Tattoo and Sons, Facebook, Tattoo and Sons. I'm not going to plug anything else right now because I don't want to. You guys are awesome. Subscribe, give us some reviews. We hope you guys will tune in again next week. That pretty much does it. Is there anything else you guys want to say?
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. You got them on. Dance it out, guys.
Just like
you
you.
got it in your ears. They don't. It's the Moss Ass, the Cantina.
You
They
can't
always
help
dance
but
now.
dance to this.
Nate and Sam are trying to be too cool.
What?
All right, there we go. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us throughout this entire one. You guys are awesome as always. If you're still watching right now, we'd love for you guys to throw us a little thumb up over here. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And thank you guys. We're exhausted. We're gonna go to bed.
JG Carr said it's going to be Matt Lambert.
Oh, is it cool?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's interesting.
Very cool. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We're gonna let you go. This one will be available to our Patreon supporters as an official real podcast, edited and all that kind of stuff, Saturday, and then a public release on Monday. So thank you guys so much. Have a great one. May the force be with you.
Be with you.
Thanks, guys.